Zhao Sishao hadn't even wiped the alcohol from his face when another glass of it was splashed at him. The first person to splash him was Xu Yuqing. The second was Mu Changfeng. Zhao Sishao raised his hand to wipe the alcohol from his face. He glared at Yuqing. Yuqing said coldly, "My man doesn't allow you to call him useless." Zhao Sishao looked gloomy. Xu Yuqing's defense of Mu Changfeng made him envious and jealous. He wished the woman he liked would defend him like that too. It's a pity that when he was sick and running a high fever, Zhuang Xini didn't show him any concern or care for him at all. In my heart, my husband is the most outstanding man. You're not even half as good as Changfeng. Zhao, the bootlicker, actually dared to encourage her to get a divorce. Doesn't he know how annoying it is to face parents' constant pressure to remarry after a divorce? She went on countless blind dates before finally choosing Mu Changfeng, putting an end to her matchmaking days and allowing her to focus on her career with peace of mind. Zhao, that bootlicker, actually wanted her to go back to the days of being pressured into marriage until she felt dizzy. Who else should she splash water on if not him, of course? Yuqing felt that her man wasn't entirely useless, so she still had to stand up for him a little. Mu Changfeng had no idea about the whirlwind of thoughts in Yuqing's mind. Holding her hand, he was moved beyond words. "Honey, I love you." Being mocked by young Master Zhao Sai is nothing. As long as his wife stands up for him, he doesn't care if the sky falls. "Honey, I love you too. Let's go." Eating with someone like this, no matter how delicious the food is, I won't enjoy it, Yuqing said, taking Mo Kangfeng by the hand and leaving. Zhao Sishao did not stop him, nor could he have. Although the Ming Hotel is a property of the Zhao family, Mu Changfeng is the head of the Da Mu group. Even if Mu Changfeng hadn't brought his team of bodyguards, Zhao Sishao still couldn't have stopped him and wouldn't dare to do anything to him. Zhao Sishao didn't want to stop them either. What would be the point of stopping this couple? Are you going to keep showing off your love to torture him, the single dog? He wanted to mock Mu Changfeng for being useless, but Xu Yuqing splashed a glass of wine at him. Xu Yuqing is very protective of Mu Changfeng. Just this alone made fourth young Master Zhao go crazy with envy and jealousy. After leaving the hotel, Mu Changfeng looked at Yuqing with eyes so tender they could drip water. Yuqing said with a laugh, "Changfeng, the way you're looking at me is making me uncomfortable. I just don't get along with fourth young Master Zhao. And since he spoke about you like that, I just threw a glass of wine at him." Mu Changfeng smiled with narrowed eyes. "I know my wife would stand up for me." Yuqing's defense of him made him happier than if she had said "I love you 1,000 times. However, he had never heard Yuqing say "I love you" to him 1,000 times, so he didn't know just how happy that would be. "Don't laugh like the foolish son of a landlord. Ha ha ha." Mu Changfeng laughed heartily. Although Zhao Sishao had mocked him for not being able to clear his beloved wife's name of plagiarism and for being useless, Yuqing's defense of him truly made him overjoyed. Perhaps it was because he had always been the one investing his emotions. Yuqing gave him little in return. Just one act of maintenance from her made Mu Changfeng feel as if he was soaked in a vat of honey, sweetening him to death. Yuqing looked at this man, who was as happy as the foolish son of a wealthy landlord, with amusement. It's said that those who fall in love have pitifully low IQs. Ching. After laughing heartily, Mu Changfeng took Yuqing's hand and promised sincerely, "I will definitely help you clear your name of plagiarism. I used to care a lot about this matter. It hit me so hard that for several years, I didn't allow anyone to mention it in front of me, not even my hobbies. If anyone brought it up, I would go crazy. The feeling of being wronged is truly unbearable. What's more, the one who betrayed her, framed her, and stepped on her to climb up was her once close senior sister, someone she regarded as a mentor. Such a betrayal made the pain even greater. It is often said that those who can hurt you deeply are the ones who know you best. She has now tasted this feeling. After I opened up to you about my past, I realized that I could actually let it go, although the label of plagiarism still bothers me. The fact that you believed in me without a hint of doubt made it easier to bear. At least now, the people around me believe in me, no longer those who questioned and insulted me. Moreover, after 5 years, Yuqing has been able to face the injustice calmly. Of course, she will not give up on finding evidence to clear her name. Mu Changfeng held her hand. Ching, no matter what happens in the future, I will always be by your side. I will always believe in you and support you. He regretted not having the insight to see through Zhuang Xini back then. I thought it was designed by Zhuang Xini. Although I don't like Zhuang Xini as a person, I genuinely praised her design drawings. Back then, it was him who finalized Zhuang Xini's design drawings. Mu Changfeng always felt that he had contributed to Zhuang Xini's plagiarism. Now, with no way to gather evidence to clear his beloved wife's name of plagiarism, Mu Changfeng felt increasingly guilty and more disgusted with Zhuang Xini and her father, especially Zhuang Shuo. He is simply unworthy of being a teacher. While others aspire to have students all over the world, Zhuang Shuo, as a teacher, will be remembered for his infamy. One day, I will repay them tenfold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold for the pain they once inflicted on you. Yuqing smiled. Changfeng, having you by my side, trusting me, and supporting me makes me very happy. I also believe that heaven won't always shield Zhuang Xini. There will come a time when it opens its eyes to see the world clearly. For now, she has shifted her focus. Instead of trying to search for evidence, she is analyzing who among the people she knew back then might have helped Zhuang Xini harm her, because the evidence was completely destroyed. Even if Ma Changfeng and Ouyang Wei help, they are not gods who can turn back time to preserve it. Compared to the loving sweetness of the couple, Zhao Xishao was soaked in bitterness. After Mu Changfeng and his wife left, he smashed his wine glass and overturned a table full of fine wine and delicacies. Originally, in his bad mood, he had called Xu Yuqing over to have a couple of drinks with him, hoping to start an argument so he could redirect his anger. Instead, it made him even more frustrated and embarrassed. He once again thought that he must have had his head squeezed by the door today to have made that phone call. Fourth young master. The bodyguards heard the commotion and all rushed in. Fourth young master Zhao's expression was gloomy. After a long while, he turned and left. The bodyguards quickly followed him. As he walked, he called Zhuang Xini, but as soon as she answered, he abruptly ended the call. Fourth young master, Madam has asked you to come home, after receiving a phone call. One of the bodyguards cautiously said to fourth young master Zhao. Zhao Xishao kept a dark expression and said nothing. However, a few minutes later, he still said to the driver, go home. Perhaps he should follow his mother's arrangements and go on a blind date with someone. Find a woman who is a suitable match for the Zhao family. Chapter 377. The Clever Adorable Child. After Mu Changfeng officially announced his marital relationship with Yuqing, it caused a huge sensation in Guangcheng. Xu Yuqing was no stranger to the onlookers. After all, Xu Yuqing had previously been slandered by the fourth young master Zhao regarding her relationship with Ji Yu Chen. Although the rumors spread by young master Zhao were quickly clarified, and he even issued an apology statement, everyone still remembered Xu Yuqing. Who would have thought that Xu Yuqing was actually the young mistress of the Mu family? Many entertainment reporters wanted to interview the young mistress of the Mu family. But after Mu Changfeng publicly announced his marriage, he called Ouyang Wei and gave the order that no media or journalists were to disturb Yuqing's peace without his and Yuqing's consent. Yuqing could accept Mu Changfeng's true identity and was willing to accompany him to social events in the future, fulfilling her duties as the young mistress. However, she did not enjoy living under the spotlight and disliked being excessively followed by the media. What she truly desired was a peaceful life, with just one word from Mu Changfeng. Even though everyone was curious about their love story, no one dared to disturb Yuqing. Thus, Yuqing was able to spend a few happy days of vacation at the mountain villa, until the paternity test results for the two children and Qin Wentian came out. After receiving Ouyang Wei's call, Mu Changfeng excused himself by saying he had to return to work and took his wife and children back to the city from the villa. As for the CEO Ji Yu, who had been guarding the villa for several days, Mu Changfeng was in no mood to tease him for the time being. On the way back to the city, Mu Changfeng appeared calm on the surface, but Yuqing knew he was very nervous. Actually, paternity tests can be expedited to get results in the shortest time possible, but Mu Changfeng was afraid to face the outcome, which is why he chose to wait for the normal processing time. Give him a few days to convince himself, so that no matter the result, he can face it calmly. No matter who the biological father of the two children is, he is the one who raised them. Mom. Qin Fan always felt that something was off with his dad. He tugged at Yuqing's hand and softly called out, Mom. Yuqing looked down at him and asked gently, What's wrong, Mom? Did something happen? Qin Fan asked with concern, I think something's wrong with Dad. He looks very serious, as if something big has happened. He knew that it was after receiving a phone call that Dad told Grandma and Grandpa they needed to return to the city. It seems normal, but it's actually not. The parents' decision to return to the city was too rushed. Dad said there was something at the company, but Qin Fan didn't believe it. Don't underestimate him just because he's young. He grew up in his father's office and knows that as long as Uncle Ouyang is at the company, it's fine even if his dad doesn't return for a month. Yuqing looked at Mu Changfeng, holding his daughter. Mu Changfeng seemed not to have heard his son's words. He gazed out the car window, lost in thought. Qin Yu in his arms also felt that her father's silence was unusual, and she looked up at him. Dad, Qin Yu tugged at Mu Changfeng's sleeve. Only then did Mu Changfeng snap back to reality. He looked down at his precious daughter's face, which so resembled Qin Tianyu's, and couldn't help but gently stroke her cheek, murmuring, Tianyu. Like Tianyu, it's Tianyu's. Changfeng, Yuqing called out to him. Ma Changfeng gave a start, snapped back to reality, and asked his daughter with a forced smile, "Yaya, what's wrong? Dad, are you worried about something? My brother and I both feel like something's off with you," Yaya asked with concern. "Dad, if you have something on your mind that you can't talk to the adults about, you can tell my brother and me. Dad, what's bothering you?" Mu Changfeng smiled and pressed his daughter's head against his chest. "Yaya, Daddy has no worries, it's just that when I see your face, I can't help but think of your biological father. P.S. Everyone, after recovering from a fever due to COVID-19, I started experiencing shoulder and neck pain. The kind that's stiff and painful. It's been hurting for several days now and hasn't eased up, making it difficult for me to write normally. Updates are still hard to maintain regularly." Chapter 378. "I like Brother Jiu Lai the most." Yaya looked up and said, "Dad, when I look at myself in the mirror, I feel like I don't look like my biological father. His hair is very short." She touched her hair. "My hair is long. That uncle looks just like my biological father. Every time he sees me, he stares at me. And it scares me." The uncle Yaya mentioned refers to Qin Wentian. Both siblings were well aware that the President Qin the adults talked about was their biological uncle. Mu Changfeng hugged his daughter tightly and said, "If you see that uncle again in the future, both of you should run, but I won't let you encounter him easily. Qin Wentian rarely appears at the venues of his activities. It was only last time at the Guangqing Hotel that we happened to meet. That time, it was because Qin Wentian's client was staying at the Guangqing Grand Hotel, and he had no choice but to go there to discuss business with the client. Coincidentally, he ran into 2 children." "Dad, I understand," Yaya said sensibly. "My brother and I will stay far away from him." "Dad, can you tell us what's on your mind now?" Mu Changfeng and Yuqing exchanged glances. Yuqing reached out and patted her daughter's head, saying to Mu Changfeng, "Although Fanfan and Yaya are young, you've raised them well. You've never acted like a distant elder when spending time with them. Since this concerns both of them, I think we should be honest." After a moment of silence, Mu Changfeng said, "Let's wait until we get the results. Even if the 2 children are indeed Qin Wentian's, Mu Changfeng doesn't want to tell the siblings now. He wants to wait until the children are a bit older before saying anything. Of course, this would also require the cooperation of Qin Wentian and Yu. Dad, what are the results? Is it from the blood test that my brother and I took last time?" The 2 siblings still remember the blood draw from a few days ago. Mu Changfeng hummed in agreement. "It's the physical examination results for both of you." Qin Yu immediately patted her chest and said, "Dad, I am absolutely healthy. You and Mom don't need to worry about me." Qin Fan thought a bit more. He felt that the last time their parents took him and his sister for a blood test, it didn't seem like a regular checkup. They had also had checkups at kindergarten, and those weren't like that. But their parents weren't willing to talk about it now, and Qin Fan tactfully didn't press further. Anyway, Dad had promised that, whether their biological mother came back or not, he and Mom would always be their parents and wouldn't let the siblings be taken away by their biological mother. Mu Changfeng was amused by his daughter and laughed. Yes, our Yaya is definitely a healthy baby." Yuqing gently pinched her daughter's little face and also laughed. "She eats and sleeps well. Just like raising a little piggy." This summer vacation, both the little siblings have grown a bit taller and put on some weight. When she first met the siblings, Yuqing remembered that Yaya's face wasn't this round. Now the little girl's face is round and chubby to the touch. She's definitely gained weight. Mom, I'm not a little piggy. The little girl is young, but she also loves to look pretty. Yuqing teased her. You're just like a little piggy, eating and then sleeping. Sleeping and then eating, but being able to eat well is a blessing. She just loves to see the two children eat happily every day. The food that Mom cooks is delicious. I love eating the meals she makes. Yaya touched her own face and said, Mom, have I gained weight? Have I become a chubby girl? Will Brother Guli dislike me and not want to play with me if I'm chubby? No, Yaya, you're not chubby. Well, maybe a little, but you're still young, and having a bit of baby fat is cute. Brother Guli likes you a lot, haven't you noticed? He really enjoys pinching your cheeks too. Yuqing smiled and hugged her daughter. If you didn't have a little chub on your face, Brother Guli wouldn't enjoy pinching your cheeks as much. I want to keep gaining weight so that Brother Jiu Lai won't feel any pain when he pinches my cheeks. To make Brother Jiu Lai enjoy pinching her cheeks, the little girl decided to maintain her current state and eat a bit more. Mu Changfeng, yeah. Do you really like Jiu Lai that much? That's Jiu Chen's son. Although Jiu Chen still guards the entrance of the villa every day and sleeps in his car at night, and has not yet gained the forgiveness of Bai Nuanuan and her son, the fact remains that Jiu Lai is Jiu Chen's biological son. This cannot be erased. Bai Nuanuan has never denied this. I like him. I like Brother Jiu Lai the most. Brother Jiu Lai is very, very good to me. Mu Changfeng's heart was broken. The daughter he cherished in the palm of his hand, how much she adores Jiu Chen's son. Yuqing teased him with amusement. Look at your expression. The children are still so young, and you're already thinking so far ahead. A year is full of changes, let alone 10 or 20 years, who knows how things will turn out. There's no need to worry about the distant future. Ma Changfeng did not forbid his children from interacting with Jiu Lai in front of them. He just wore a sullen expression and said to his beloved wife, let's only have sons from now on. Having a daughter, raising her, and then she marries into another family, having a son, raising him, and then he brings another family's daughter home. Dad, I want a little brother and a little sister. You and Mom should have a little brother and a little sister, not just a little brother. Qin didn't know why her parents had suddenly changed the subject, but when it came to having children, the little girl knew that her parents would eventually give her a sibling. She quickly voiced her request. She is someone both the younger brother and younger sister want. Well, a bit greedy. Qin Fan also echoed his sister's words. I also want both a younger brother and a younger sister. He already has a younger sister, but he still wants another one. Mu Changfeng, Yuqing. Distracted by the two children's change of topic, Mu Changfeng felt much calmer. The results were already out. Whether he was nervous or not, it wouldn't change the outcome, so it was better to face it calmly. Half an hour later, the driver parked the car at the entrance of the identification center. Ching, you and the two children wait in the car. I'll go get the results, Mu Changfeng said to Yuqing as he got out of the car. If all four of us get out, it might draw attention, especially since he had publicly announced his marriage to Shu Yuqing, although no media reporters dared to disturb Yuqing. There was no guarantee that no one would secretly take photos. Yuqing hummed in agreement. Then you go get the results. I'll wait in the car with the two kids. Ma Changfeng put on a black face mask and a pair of large black sunglasses. As he got out of the car, he looked around to make sure no one was watching him before quickly walking into the testing center. Yuqing waited in the car, her heart actually quite nervous, not knowing what the results would be. The little siblings sat beside her, both looking at her. Yuqing held a child in each arm, pulling them close to her. She kept repeating silently in her heart, the children are Tianyu's, the children are Tianyu's. Tianyu has already suffered enough. I hope the two children are his. Surely fate wouldn't be so cruel, would it? A moment later, Mu Changfeng came out. Chapter 379, DNA test results. Yuqing didn't ask for the result right away. She first carefully observed Mu Changfeng's expression. After getting into the car, Mu Changfeng took off his black mask and sunglasses, throwing the mask into the car's trash bin. In one swift motion, he pulled Yuqing into a tight embrace in front of the two children. His action startled Yuqing. She thought the test results showed that the two children were not Qin Tianyu's. Yuqing silently hugged him back. Mu Changfeng gave his wife a fierce hug and then let go. Changfeng. Mu Changfeng took out the appraisal results and handed them to Yuqing. Yu Qing quickly looked at the result. They are related by blood, but not as father and son, Mu Changfeng said calmly. Qin Wentian is not the biological father of the two children. Nephews and nieces are related by blood to their uncles. Qin Wentian is just the uncle of the two children, the uncle. Yu Qing immediately felt relieved. She said, I just felt that heaven wouldn't be so cruel. Mu Changfeng also breathed a sigh of relief, as long as the two children weren't Qin Wentian's. He felt as if the sky had brightened considerably, no longer shrouded in dark clouds. Dad, what are you and Mom talking about? I don't understand, Fan Fan asked. Mu Changfeng was in a better mood now. He picked up his son and sat him on his lap, gently stroking Qin Fan's head with his large hand. He said kindly, Fan Fan, now Dad has something to tell you and your sister, something related to your background. Both siblings listened very attentively. Fan Fan, Yuan, your biological father is Qin Tianyu. In the years to come, there may be rumors suggesting that your biological father is not Qin Tianyu. If you hear such things, just refute them. Your biological father is indeed Qin Tianyu. The last time I took you to get your blood drawn, it wasn't for a checkup. It was to have your blood tested. There is evidence to prove that your biological father is Qin Tianyu. So, if you ever hear any rumors about your origins, just refute them. Qin Fan asked, Dad, hasn't our biological father always been Qin Tianyu? Who else could be their father besides Qin Tianyu? Yes, it has always been Qin Tianyu. You are Qin Tianyu's children. Mu Changfeng pressed his son's head against his chest and said with a smile, Don't worry about that. Dad is just giving you a heads up in advance. In any case, you are Qin Tianyu's children, and also my, Mu Changfeng's, children. Worried for several days, finally, I can set my mind at ease. The two children were completely confused. Mu Changfeng didn't explain too much. After all, the two children were still young, and even if he explained repeatedly, they wouldn't understand. It mainly involves Anu's lifestyle issues. Mu Changfeng doesn't like Anu. But she is still the biological mother of the two children. He is unwilling to mention the affair between Anu and Qin Wentian in front of the two children. Moreover, whether Qin Wentian and Anu are having an affair is just a suspicion between him and Ouyang Wei. Without any concrete evidence of being caught in the act. Ring ring ring. Ouyang Wei made a phone call. Mu Changfeng answered his friend's call in a good mood. Changfeng, you've got the results, right? Are the two children Tianyu's? Of course they are. Ouyang Wei immediately broke into a smile. I told you, the two children look just like Tianyu. They must be Tianyu's children. We were overthinking it. Getting a test done once will give us peace of mind, and it will also shut their mouths in the future. This paternity test was not without its use. Qin Wentian must have thought the two children were his, and Anu probably knew whose they were, if things blow up in the future. At least this paternity test can prove that the two children are not Qin Wentian's. Ouyang Wei was also very happy. While Ouyang Wei was calling Mu Changfeng, Qin Wentian also received the news. At that moment, in the CEO's office of the Qin Group, he received a call from his bodyguard. The bodyguard informed him that Mu Changfeng had appeared at the identification center but left shortly after. The outcome of the identification, however, remained unknown. Qin Wentian frowned and asked coldly, How did Mu Changfeng look? He couldn't see the appraisal results, nor could he change them. Ouyang Wei's people were watching closely. He had sent people to stake out near the appraisal center, but they were operating right under Ouyang Wei's nose. Taking any further action would be impossible. The bodyguard recalled Mu Changfeng's hurried exit and re-entry into the car, and replied, Young Master Mu got out of the car wearing a black mask and sunglasses, alone without any bodyguards. And I didn't see his wife. He hurried into the testing center, and shortly after, he came out in a rush, quickly got into the car, and then left. We followed for a while and vaguely saw young Master Mu embrace a woman after getting into the car. That woman should be his wife. After that, we were unable to continue following. They were intercepted. Upon hearing the bodyguard's words, Qin Wentian's hand holding the phone tightened. Mu Changfeng's reaction seems to be one of shock. Could it be that the test results show that neither of the two children are Tianyu's? If they're not Tianyu's, then they must be his. Qin Wentian thought of the two children, especially Qin Yu, who really resembles him. Of course, one could also say she resembles Tianyu, as the two brothers look very much alike. Qin Wentian silently ended the call with the bodyguard. He leaned back, resting against the black swivel chair, lost in thought. The 2 children were indeed his. He and his wife also had children of their own, who were raised and educated excellently by his wife. He loved his children dearly. If my wife and children were to find out that the 2 children raised by Mu Changfeng are actually his own, Qin Wentian dared not imagine the outcome. He could not let his 2 illegitimate children ruin his current happy life. But, thinking of Qin Fan and Qin Yu being well raised by Mu Changfeng, the siblings are fair and tender, extremely adorable. And Qin Wentian's heart couldn't help but feel a bit of affection. After all, they are his own flesh and blood. After a long while, Qin Wentian decided to proceed as he had previously agreed with Anu. Let Anu step forward to reclaim custody of the 2 children. He then funded Anu to raise the 2 children. Even if others found out, he could justify it as helping his sister-in-law raise the 2 children left behind by his brother. He could also explain it to his wife. His own children wouldn't suspect anything. Qin Wentian immediately called Anu. After Anu answered the phone, he asked coldly, "Where are you?" At home. Anu had been going out very little recently. She was also waiting for the DNA test results of the 2 children and Qin Wentian. "The test results are out." Qin Wentian's voice was low, afraid that others might hear. "I'll come to your place tonight, and we'll talk in detail." Upon hearing this, Anu's face changed dramatically. The phone almost slipped and fell to the ground. She asked Qin Wentian with a trembling voice, "Are the 2 children yours?" Qin Wentian paused for a moment before replying, "Yes, over there." Anu's phone dropped to the ground. Chapter 380, A Misunderstanding. "Anu," Qin Wentian shouted from the other end of the phone. "Anu, are you listening?" Anu was dumbstruck, completely ignoring Qin Wentian's shouting on the other end of the phone. Qin Wentian, receiving no response, had no choice but to end the call. Anu felt her mind go completely blank. The 2 children were actually Qin Wentian's. At first, she had an argument with Qin Tianyu. Qin Tianyu asked her if the 2 children were his older brothers, and she said that since he doubted her and didn't trust her, he might as well take the 2 children for a paternity test. Qin Tianyu didn't dare. He didn't have the courage to face the result. She called him useless, scolded him over and over, until he jumped off the building and died right in front of her. The children, as it turned out, were Qin Wentian's. The problem is, this paternity test wasn't conducted by the Qin brothers, but by Mu Changfeng. He knows. What will Mu Changfeng think of her in his heart? He never liked her to begin with. Now that he knows she had an affair with Qin Wentian and has 2 children, how will he view her? He definitely would not accept her feelings. Anu thought about the purpose of her return, which was to build a family with Mu Changfeng. He would continue to be the father of the 2 children, and she would always be their biological mother. Her return was meant to reunite the family of 4, now that Mu Changfeng is married, and the 2 children are Qin Wentian's. Does she still have hope of being with him? No, she wants to marry Mu Changfeng. She must achieve her wish, no matter whose children they are. Mu Changfeng has raised them for over 4 years. He has developed feelings for the 2 children and would find it hard to part with them. As long as he finds it hard to part with the 2 children, she has hope. Anu thought long and hard, and it took her a while to come back to her senses. He quickly picked up the phone, but Qin Wentian had already hung up. Anu decided to pretend she knew nothing and pursue Mu Changfeng. She deeply regretted not confessing her feelings to Mu Changfeng back then, and instead marrying Qin Tianyu, which ended in tragedy. If she had confessed to Mu Changfeng back then, even if he didn't accept her feelings, Qin Tianyu might not have married her if he knew she liked Mu Changfeng, and the tragedy wouldn't have happened. She had taken the wrong path. Now, she wants to correct it, whether Ma Changfeng is married or not. She must be brave this time and tell him loudly that she loves him. Thinking of this, Anua hurriedly left the seaside villa. On the other side, after having a meal with his wife, children, and Ouyang Wei, Ma Changfeng returned to his large villa in the Houting Garden. This is another villa under his name. In the past, he would also bring his children here to stay for a while. Anyway, he has many houses and can live wherever he wants. By the time they returned to the villa, the sun was setting. 10 minutes later, Mu Changfeng held Yuqing's hand and strolled through the courtyard, showing her around to familiarize her with the surroundings. 2 children were walking ahead, the little brother and sister sometimes playing and chasing each other. sometimes stopping to admire the flowers in the bushes, watching their innocent, radiant smiles. Mu Changfeng looked up at the sky and said, "If Tianyu is watching from above, he would be very happy to see the two children growing up healthy and well." Did Tianyu ever suspect that the two children might not be his before he died? Mu Changfeng remained silent for a moment before saying, "I think he did suspect. He must have known about An Yu and Qin Wentian's affair, which is why he broke down and took his own life. He loved An Yu deeply and also held great respect for his older brother, Qin Wentian." Yuqing sighed. Betrayed by his most beloved wife and his most respected elder brother, anyone would find it unbearable. Qin Tianyu probably took his own life because he couldn't bear it. Mu Changfeng now basically understands the reason for his death. The truth is too cruel. Mu Changfeng felt it was unfair for his childhood friend and was also angry on his behalf. The ones who deserved to die were An Yu and Qin Wentian, not Tianyu. Changfeng, now that we know the two children are Tianyu's, if you have time to visit your childhood friend's grave, tell him the truth. Mu Changfeng nodded. He will definitely go to the cemetery to tell his childhood friend the truth. That is, back then, why didn't Qin Tianyu do a paternity test with the two children? If he had done the paternity test and found out that the two children were actually his, perhaps it would have been a comfort to him, and he wouldn't have died. Mu Changfeng only regrets that 4 years ago, his childhood friend didn't tell him anything. If Qiu Tianyu had given him even a hint, he wouldn't have let his childhood friend take the path of suicide. "Mom, can you come chase us?" Qin Yu jogged back, her flushed face full of anticipation, hoping Yuqing would play with them. Yuqing smiled and said, "All right. Mom will chase you, but don't run too fast, be careful not to fall." "Mom, come and chase me. I won't fall." Qin Yu immediately turned and ran, while Yuqing laughed and quickly chased after the siblings. After years of hard work, she was so swift on her feet that she didn't even need to run to leave the siblings panting and out of breath. Mu Changfeng watched the mother and children chasing each other, their laughter unceasing, and a smile also spread across his handsome face. Both he and Yuqing are people who love children. I wonder when he and Yuqing will have a child of their own. Tonight, he will work overtime to make a baby. Strive to get Yuqing pregnant with his child as soon as possible. Ring ring ring. Yuqing's phone rang. She stopped chasing after the two children, took out her phone, and saw that the caller ID showed it was her sister calling. "Sis, Qing, Dong Jiaming knows Mu Changfeng's true identity," Xu Yuyun said. "He suddenly came to see me this afternoon, asking me to confirm Changfeng's true identity. He even blamed me for hiding it from him, saying that if he had known Changfeng was the eldest son of the Mu family, he would never have divorced me. What does Changfeng's status have to do with him? Sis, he wouldn't be thinking of getting back together with you, would he? Does he think I'd just take him back if he wants to reconcile? Besides, he's doing pretty well for himself now. He's even driving a new car, $1 million Mercedes, and he's got a thick gold chain around his neck, looking every bit the nouveau riche. He's also upgraded to the latest model of a certain fruit brand phone. He says he's a manager at the Fu Group now, highly favored by the boss, and has already arranged for his brother-in-law and 2 older brothers to work there. That Fu Lingling must be planning to marry him. The Xu family's pond is too small to keep a big fish like Dong Jiaming. Moreover, Xu Yuyun had long given up on him. The divorce was finalized, and the custody of the child was granted to her. Although she hadn't become an overnight millionaire like Dong Jiaming, she and her sister had jointly invested in a processing factory, which was also a form of entrepreneurship. She trusted her sister's business acumen, and now that she knew her brother-in-law was actually the eldest son of the wealthy Mu family, Xu Yuyun felt even more confident about the future of the processing factory. He said he wants to discuss a partnership with Changfeng, and he'll probably approach him soon. "You should let Changfeng know, that kind of person isn't worth partnering with. He's too calculating." Yuqing sneered twice. The Mu Group has long terminated its partnership with the Fu Group. Who does he think he is? Changfeng won't even meet with him. Chapter 381, only widowed, never divorced. "I'm just worried that Dong Jiaming is so shameless that he'll pester Changfeng," Xu Yuyan said worriedly. Yuqing laughed. "Sister, one of these days I'll take you to the Damu Group, and you'll see that even 10 Dong Jiamings wouldn't be able to pester Changfeng. Mu Changfeng is not someone that just anyone can meet. Because of Fu Lingling, Yuqing once misunderstood Mu Changfeng, and in a fit of anger, Mu Changfeng terminated all cooperation with the Fu family. People in the business world are all shrewd. The Da Mu Group and the Fu Group had collaborated for many years. But when all cooperation was suddenly terminated, and the head of the Fu Group repeatedly failed to meet with Mu Changfeng, everyone sensed something was amiss. Knowing that the Fu Group had offended a powerful backer, without the poverty alleviation-style cooperation of the Da Mu Group, the Fu Group's competitors seized every opportunity to suppress them, making the Fu Group's situation increasingly difficult. After Dong Jiaming joined the Fu Group, his cleverness helped secure some small deals for the company, which is why Mr. Fu tacitly approved of his relationship with Fu Lingling. Mainly, Mr. Fu also had no control over his only daughter's romantic affairs. Fu Lingling is very open in matters between men and women. Dong Jiaming has caught her eye. She can't do without him now. Dong Jiaming also has some ability, and President Fu wants to use him to help save the Fu Group, at least try to struggle a bit more. As long as the Fu Group doesn't go bankrupt, the family can still live a comfortable life. At worst, we can lay off employees, reduce expenses, and earn a little less. Damu Group is the largest group in Guangcheng. As the head of Changfeng, even scheduling an appointment to see him requires queuing for several months. Not to mention that Dong Jiaming represents the Fu Group. Even without the Fu Group, since he is no longer my brother-in-law, Changfeng won't waste time meeting him. That's good. That's good. Hearing her sister say this, Xu Yulon felt relieved. You should not come back for a while. We noticed someone watching near our house. Once, Xu Wei caught them, and after questioning, found out they were paparazzi. They're here for you. Mu Changfeng announced his marriage, and the title of the eldest daughter-in-law of the Mu family went to the Xu family. Xu Yuqing, as the eldest daughter-in-law of the Mu family, instantly became a hot topic on Guangcheng's trending searches. Yuqing was not disturbed by the media reporters. However, everyone is full of curiosity about the eldest daughter-in-law of the Mu family and is eager to know how Xu Yuqing won over the eldest young master of the Mu family. Logically, the two of them should never have crossed paths. One farming fruit in the countryside, the other the head of a major corporation. Yet, these two people from entirely different worlds ended up as husband and wife. Who wouldn't be curious? Everyone wants to know the whole story. Unfortunately, Mu Changfeng doesn't allow the media to openly disturb Yuqing. They had no choice but to resort to secretly filming. Yuqing, no way, paparazzi have come to our neighborhood to keep an eye on us. She had merely made a mistake in her marriage. Yet it became big news in the eyes of the media, who sent paparazzi to watch her. Don't you know about Changfeng's official announcement? Xu Yuyun was aware of everyone's gossip and craziness. She thought her sister knew as well. Yuqing said, I know, he just admitted that we are a married couple. So what? I didn't expect paparazzi to be watching. She thought it was just a matter between the couple, but after thinking about Ma Changfeng's identity, Yuqing suddenly realized that her man had done a lot to protect her behind the scenes. That's why she still lives a peaceful life, undisturbed by the media. From now on, won't my every move be watched by them? Yuqing dislikes being watched the most. She also fears that her every move will be endlessly magnified. Yuqing looked towards Mu Changfeng. She hadn't even realized that becoming the eldest daughter-in-law of the Mu family would change many things. Qingqing, I'm a bit worried that with the media watching you now, they might dig up your past conflict with Zhuang Sini from 5 years ago, which could harm you, especially since you're now the eldest daughter-in-law of the wealthiest family, sis. I stand straight and fear no crooked shadow. Xu Yuyun wanted to say something, but in the end, she said nothing. I hope my brother-in-law is capable enough to help clear my sister's name of the plagiarism accusation. After ending the call with her sister, Yuqing waited for Mu Changfeng to approach, then said to him, my sister said that after Dong Jiaming learns your true identity, he might come to discuss business with you. Also, there are paparazzi watching near my home. Mu Changfeng's handsome face darkened. I've already given the order not to disturb you, but they're treating my words as if they're just wind blowing past their ears. Do they not want to keep their jobs anymore? He immediately took out his phone and made a call. Yuqing didn't know who he was calling, but she could see that he was losing his temper with the person on the other end. When he was angry, his handsome face would turn gloomy and dark, like the thunder god. If you drew a crescent moon on his forehead, he wouldn't even need makeup to play the role of Judge Bao. After young Master Mu's outburst, The paparazzi lurking near the Shu family quickly received calls from their superiors and left resentfully, no longer daring to keep an eye on young Mistress Mu's every move. After making the call, Mu Changfeng noticed his wife looking at him. Ching, what's the matter? The young master, who had just been as stern as the thunder god, became gentle and amiable when facing Yuqing. Changfeng, thank you. Mu Changfeng gently tapped her forehead affectionately and said dotingly, I promised you I would keep your life unchanged. You don't like being watched, so I'll never let them disturb you. I don't like being watched. I think no one likes being watched. Every move falls into someone else's eyes, leaving no privacy. I'm not a big celebrity. Why would they watch me? Mu Changfeng held her hand and said apologetically, Ching, I'm sorry. It's because of me. Yes, it's because of you. If you weren't the eldest son of the wealthiest family, I wouldn't have ended up trending and becoming the target of paparazzi. If I had impulsively divorced you back then, don't you dare mention the word divorce, Mu Changfeng growled. And at the same time, he stretched out his arms and pulled Yuqing into his embrace, tightening his grip around Yuqing's waist. He growled again, Ching. You are not allowed to divorce me. If you want your freedom back, it will only be over my dead body. Between them, there is only widowhood, not divorce. I was just saying it, not really divorcing you. I don't want a divorce. After a divorce, I'd have to go on blind dates again. Changfeng, I won't say it anymore. I won't. Don't look so grim. If you go out like that, you'll scare the children. Loosen your grip a little. Don't hold me so tight. I feel like my waist is about to break. Ah, what are you doing? Put me down. Our son and daughter are still ahead of us. With a soft cry from Yuqing, Mu Changfeng swept her up into his arms. Mu Changfeng turned around, holding her, and walked toward the main house. Ignoring all else, the young master carried his wife back into the house, heading straight upstairs. Despite Yuqing's repeated pleas for mercy, he stubbornly brought her into the room and burned with passion with her twice. After the passion subsided, Yuqing kicked him and scolded, Mu Changfeng, you're nothing but a wolf. She was just saying it, not really meaning to divorce him, yet he punished her in his own way. Chapter 382, The Black Card. Mu Changfeng wasn't angry even after being kicked. He affectionately pinched Yuqing's cheek and said with a smile, I'll go downstairs to bring your dinner up to you. You can eat in the room. Yuqing sat up, leaned forward, and pinched his face with both hands, her face as red as a boiled shrimp. She insisted, I want to go downstairs to eat myself. You don't need to bring it up for me. That would, well, be too obvious. Mainly, the couple was taking a walk with their child in the yard when suddenly, she was carried back by Mu Changfeng, and they engaged in the most intimate act between a husband and wife. She always felt embarrassed, even though the two children were still young and didn't understand these things. She still felt ashamed. If Mu Changfeng brought her a meal upstairs and the two children asked him what was wrong with their mom, who knows if he would say something inappropriate. Mu Changfeng held her hand, smiling as he looked at her. All right, wherever you want to eat, we'll eat there. Then, he spoke seriously and earnestly, Ching. Don't ever mention the word divorce to me again. I will never get a divorce, especially not for any amount of money someone offers you to leave me. Don't push your husband away for money. I'm the walking equivalent of cash, Yuqing muttered. The only one who could afford such a price isn't you. But the amount she offers isn't even that high. She's so stingy, only offering $1 million here and there. If she were to offer billions, I'd definitely, well, no, I wouldn't sell. My husband is priceless, worth hundreds of billions. Realizing that hundreds of billions is an enormous amount of money, Yuqing immediately stopped. If someone were really willing to pay tens of billions for her to get a divorce, as soon as the money hit her account, she would go and divorce him right away. Haha. Reaching the peak of life by selling her husband. Unfortunately, such a scenario only exists in dreams. In real life, who would be willing to spend tens of billions just to buy a man? A woman who can come up with tens of billions. What man could she not have? Shu Yuqing wants to become the richest woman by selling her husband. No chance. Mu Changfeng glared at her. Yuqing quickly scrambled off the bed, straightened her clothes, and tried to slip away. Her man wrapped his arms around her waist from behind, pulling her back. Changfeng, I won't sell you. Really, I won't. My husband is handsome and rich. I'd have to be crazy to sell. Don't worry, as long as you don't leave. I won't abandon you in this lifetime. Just now, her husband had caught her and made love to her twice, and now her waist was a bit sore. She couldn't afford to be punished again. Mu Changfeng chuckled softly. I wanted to give you something. You should have said so earlier. You scared me. Yuqing turned around in his arms, adjusted her glasses, and asked, Changfeng, what is it you want to give me? I promise I'll treasure whatever you give me and keep it safe. Mu Changfeng tapped her lips playfully. Your words suddenly sound as sweet as honey. I've always been eloquent. You've never said sweet words to me. Yuqing. Mu Changfeng let go of her. He took out his wallet, pulled out a black card from it, and stuffed that black card into Yuqing's hand. Is this the legendary black card? Yuqing was seeing a black card for the first time. It is a black card. This card is for you. From now on, you can use it to buy anything you want. Yuqing returned the black card to Mu Changfeng and said, My debts are almost paid off. I don't need to spend your money. My money is your money. Let me help you pay off that little debt of yours. Mu Changfeng was somewhat helpless in the face of his wife's insistence. As the eldest young master of the Mu family, he was so rich that he had nothing but money, yet his wife still had debts and refused to let him help her pay them off. Even when she partnered with her sister-in-law to invest in building a processing plant, she preferred to get an advance on the fruit payment from her second brother rather than ask him for money. I can pay it back myself. I don't need your help. That's my pre-marriage debt. You keep this card yourself. Ma Changfeng forcefully handed her the black card and said, This card is for you to use. If one day someone offers you money to leave me, you can use this black card to shut them up. It will also remind you that your husband has plenty of money, so you won't be tempted to sell me out for a quick buck without me even knowing. Yuqing, my parents will go to your house again to discuss the wedding arrangements with your parents. After the wedding, as the young mistress of the Mu family, you'll gradually take on the responsibilities of the future lady of the house. It's not a heavy burden, just familiarizing yourself with the financial situation of our Mu family. Yuqing. It seems that Anue finding her and offering her money to leave him had a big impact on him. What he fears most now is that she might be swayed by money and betray him. Ching, we are husband and wife. My money is your money, and your money is still your money. If you don't take this black card, I'll just throw it away. As he spoke, Mu Changfeng made a gesture as if to throw the black card out the window. Yuqing quickly snatched it back and scolded him. This is a black card. You spendthrift. How could you even think of throwing it away? Alright, I'll keep it safe for you, but what will you do if you need money? I have other bank cards. It costs money for you to keep them, and if I never receive any spending notifications, it means you don't see me as family, as your man, as your husband, because you're not spending my money. This is the first time I've ever been forced to spend money. Yuqing complained with her words, but her heart felt sweet. I've always wanted to rely on my own efforts, hoping that one day I could earn a lot of money, so much that my hands would get tired from counting it. I never expected to marry a husband who works on construction sites, making me effortlessly wealthy. No wonder so many people dream of marrying into a rich family. Yuqing sighed with emotion. Mu Changfeng leaned in close to her, gave her a kiss on the cheek, and said affectionately, As long as you don't leave me, my person, my heart, and my fortune are all yours. I can't bear to part with the two children, and I can't bear to part with you either. Mu Changfeng gently pinched her cheek. I'll let it slide for now, but one day, I'll outshine those two little rivals of mine, Yuqing said with amusement. You're always competing with the children for attention, yet you still want to have more kids. She carefully put away his black card. It's because you don't give me enough, and I don't feel secure enough, so I always compete with the children for your attention. Honey, if you tell me I love you a few times every day and write me a few love letters, each with over 3,000 words, I'd feel completely secure. After putting away the black card, Yuqing left the room with him and went downstairs for dinner. Hearing his words, she laughed and said, Writing a love letter, I can write one for you, but it's a bit difficult to make it over 3,000 words. 2,000 words would be fine too. Upon hearing that his wife was willing to write him a love letter, Mu Changfeng immediately lowered the word count requirement. Chapter 383, The Plot Fails. Yuqing asked him, How about 6 words? Mu Changfeng, honey, you're driving a really hard bargain, aren't you? 2,000 words isn't too much. If you can't write 2,000, I can accept 1,000. But just 6 words, that's more than just a slight reduction. I've never written a love letter to a man. If you think writing a 2,000-word love letter is easy, why don't you write a few for me first, each at least 2,000 words, so I can learn from them before writing one for you? Mu Changfeng was left speechless. He had never written a love letter either. He has never even pursued a girl before. When the young couple got married, he didn't need to pursue Yuqing, nor did Yuqing pursue him. Instead, she directly proposed to register their marriage with him. Mu Changfeng was grateful that his name sounded the same as the man she had a blind date with that day. Otherwise, she would have taken her household registration booklet and married someone else. Alright, 6 words it is. As long as it's a love letter from you, no matter how many words, I'll be very happy, Yuqing said with a smile. I'll give you the love letter before you go to work tomorrow, so you'll be in a great mood all day and work even more efficiently. Okay, although it wouldn't be a 2,000-word love letter. Mu Changfeng was still looking forward to the fact that Yuqing was willing to write him one. She had never written a love letter to a man before, so the one he received would be her first. Which showed that she had feelings for him. Thinking this way, Mu Changfeng was in high spirits. Qin Fan and Qin Yu had already washed their hands and were sitting at the dining table, waiting for their parents to come downstairs for dinner. Dad, Mom, seeing their parents enter, the siblings called out to them. The young couple acted as if nothing had happened. Yuqing sat down beside her daughter. The 2 young brothers were also quite sensible and didn't ask their parents why they suddenly went back inside. The family of 4 enjoyed their dinner happily. After dinner, the couple watched some cartoons with the 2 children for a while. When it was time to rest, although the children were reluctant, they didn't linger in front of the TV. They obediently turned it off and went upstairs to wash up and go to bed. This evening was a pleasant one for the family of 4, for Shenjia. She almost got into a car accident. She was on her way home and almost at her doorstep when a car suddenly rushed out and crashed toward her vehicle. She swerved urgently and slammed on the brakes, narrowly avoiding a collision. Even so, she was scared into a cold sweat. After parking, she rolled down the window, leaned out, and yelled at the other driver, in a hurry to be reborn, driving so fast, suddenly pulling out without even honking. Did you buy your driver's license? The car did not stop and had long since driven away. Shenjia cursed a few times before starting the car again and heading toward her family's small villa. When she reached the gate, she stopped the car and was about to honk the horn to ask her mother to come out and open the door for her. But she saw someone emerge from the darkness nearby. Shenjia was startled. After calming down and seeing clearly that the person emerging from the darkness was Zhuang Xini. Shenjia finally breathed a sigh of relief. She leaned out and asked Zhuang Xini, Miss Zhuang, why were you hiding in the dark? If you hadn't come out, I wouldn't have noticed you. Where is your car? Zhuang Xini stood under the streetlight, quietly watching Shenjia. The near-car accident Shenjia had just experienced was arranged by Zhuang Xini. After much thought, she felt that Shenjia's existence posed the greatest threat to her. The evidence of her plagiarism against Yuqing had long been thoroughly erased by the father and daughter. Even if Yuqing became the eldest daughter-in-law of the Mu family, she would not be able to find any proof. But Shenjia was an insider, the one who had collaborated with her in plagiarizing Yuqing's design, who knew if Shenjia had secretly kept any evidence, even without keeping evidence. If one day Shenjia suddenly stops being jealous of Yuqing and reveals everything that happened 5 years ago, it would still ruin Zhuang Xini. Zhuang Xini wanted to create an accident to kill Shenjia. Unfortunately, her first attempt was unsuccessful. Shenjia was lucky and narrowly escaped disaster. My car is parked over there. Zhuang Xini pointed not far away. Where have you been? I've been waiting here for a while, and when I called you, your phone was turned off. Zhuang Xini walked over. Shenjia asked suspiciously, was my phone turned off? She took her bag from the passenger seat, then pulled out her phone from the bag and saw that it had run out of battery and automatically shut down. My phone ran out of battery and shut down automatically. Miss Zhuang, did you need something from me? By the way, it's true, Xu Yuqing is actually the eldest daughter-in-law of the wealthy Mu family, Shenjia said to Zhuang Xini. Her gaze toward Zhuang Xini rather complex. There is both schadenfreude and a touch of sympathy. As the only daughter of Zhuang Shuo, Zhuang Xini also has considerable talent in design, but compared to Yuqing, she falls a bit short. Father and daughter were of one mind. and by taking advantage of Yuqing once, Zhuang Xini gained the fame and fortune she desired if she hadn't plagiarized Yuqing's design and made a name for herself. Zhuang Xini would never have come into contact with so many wealthy individuals, let alone become the white moonlight of the fourth young master Zhao. Everything Zhuang Xini possesses today is built upon the foundation of plagiarizing Yuqing's design, but Zhuang Xini still lost to Xu Yuqing. In marriage, in love, and in social status, she lost to Xu Yuqing. I'm afraid Zhuang Xini never dreamed that Xu Yuqing, whom she was so eager to suppress, would become the beloved wife of the man she desperately wanted to marry. After returning from abroad, Zhuang Xini found it difficult to even get a meeting with the young master Mu. Xu Yuqing, however, married the young master of the Mu family with such ease. Shunjiao was also very curious about how Xu Yuqing had met Mu Changfeng and ended up marrying him. She wondered if she could follow the same method and also marry a wealthy young man, thus entering the true upper-class social circle. Zhuang Xini's face darkened, and after a moment, she said resentfully, "It's true, who knows what kind of dumb luck she had to actually marry young Master Mu." Soon, she changed the subject and said, "So what if Yuqing married young Master Mu? Does she think she can securely hold the position of the Mu family's eldest daughter-in-law? The eldest young master's first love has returned, so she'd better prepare to be abandoned and divorced. Does the eldest young master really have a first love?" Shunjiao asked curiously. "Is his first love the second daughter-in-law of the Qin family? I heard he grew up with the second young master of the Qin family and his wife. Isn't the second daughter-in-law of the Qin family missing? Has she returned?" It's been a while since Shunjiao last saw Zhuang Xini, and she had no idea so much had happened. The white moonlight of the young master Mu has actually returned. The rumors are true, and you, the second young master Qin's wife, is indeed the white moonlight of young master Mu. She has returned, Shunjiao said excitedly. That will be interesting. Does Yuqing know about this? One of these days? No, tomorrow. I'll go see Yuqing and tell her this huge news. Zhuang Xini looked at her, a hint of murderous intent flashing in her eyes, but it quickly faded away. She asked, "Shunjiao, would it be convenient to invite me in for a glass of water?" Chapter 384. Shunjiao indeed kept the evidence. Shunjiao checked the time and said to Zhuang Xini, "My parents should be asleep by now. Please let Zhuang Xini in. She's worried about disturbing her parents' rest. Miss Zhuang, if you have something to say, you can say it here. Alternatively, we could go out for a late-night snack and chat while we eat." Zhuang Xini thought for a moment and said, "I rarely eat late-night snacks these days. I'm afraid of gaining weight. Wait a moment, I'll go back to my car to get something for you." "Okay." Zhuang Xini turned and left. Shunjiao waited for her for a minute, and she came over with her bag. Zhuang Xini stood by Shunjiao's car window, bent down to take a document folder out of her bag, and handed it to Shunjiao, saying, "This is for you." "What is it?" Curious, Shunjiao took the document folder and opened it to find a stack of money inside. Zhuang Xini then took a red brocade box out of her bag and gave it to Shunjiao, saying, "You complimented the necklace I was wearing last time, so I bought you an identical one." Shunjiao took the red brocade box and asked Zhuang Xini, "Miss Zhuang, for no reason at all, you're giving me money and a necklace?" She stared directly at Zhuang Xini. "Miss Zhuang, if there's something you want me to do, just say it. I'll help you as long as I can. Is it because Xu Yuqing has become the eldest young mistress of the Mu family?" Zhuang Xini wanted to marry the eldest young master of the Mu family not because she loved him deeply, but because she coveted the Mu family's status and position. She believed that as long as she married into the Mu family and became the eldest young mistress, she could suppress Xu Yuqing for life, never allowing her to rise again. Now that Xu Yuqing is the eldest young mistress of the Mu family, Zhuang Xini's dream has been shattered. While feeling jealous, she is also panicking, afraid that Xu Yuqing will seek revenge on her. Although Shunjiao doesn't have as many ill intentions as Zhuang Xini, she is well aware of the root of the conflict between Zhuang Xini and Yuqing. "What happened between me and Xu Yuqing? You were a witness. You knew all about it, and it was with your help that I succeeded. Shunjiao, we're in the same boat. If I'm ruined, you'll suffer too." Shunjiao's expression turned grim. She remained silent, waiting for Zhuang Xini to continue. "I hope that no matter what happens, no matter how Xu Yuqing's status changes, you never reveal the truth. If you've kept any evidence, make sure to destroy it. Don't let Xu Yuqing get her hands on it, that would be bad for both of us. As long as I can maintain my status and position, I can give you these things at any time. Shenjiao held a file bag full of money and glanced at the red brocade box. Not feeling that the money was too hot to handle, she said, Miss Zhuang, you don't need to remind me. I know we're on the same boat, don't worry. I won't do anything that harms you or goes against my own interests. I never liked Xu Yuqing before, and now I dislike her even more. I just want to see her suffer, Miss Zhuang. Why don't you expose Xu Yuqing's plagiarism to the media? She's now the eldest daughter-in-law of the Mu family, so the media will definitely be interested. Zhuang Xini paused for a moment before saying, Miss Shen, everything has two sides. If I expose this matter to the media to tarnish Xu Yuqing's reputation, I won't gain any benefit from it either. Mu Changfeng treats Xu Yuqing so well, and what she did will only offend him. It is not conducive to her moving in high society, so... You're just asking me to keep the secret, there's nothing else, Zhuang Xini said. You just need to keep your mouth shut. If you have kept any evidence, remember to destroy it. Shenjiao instinctively said, I've kept it very well. Unless Xu Yuqing has become a goddess, there's no way she can get the evidence from me. After saying this, Shenjiao belatedly realized what she had said. She had just admitted that she had kept evidence of what happened 5 years ago. Zhuang Xini's beautiful eyes flickered as she said, only by destroying it can you be safe. Destroy it and then flush it down the drain. That way, it's 100% secure. In his heart, he cursed Shenjiao for being so cunning. As she had indeed kept the evidence, Shenjiao must not be allowed to live. Even if Shenjiao followed her instructions and destroyed the evidence, Zhuang Xini still did not want her to live. Because Shenjiao still had a mouth, she would talk. Only if Shenjiao were dead could the dead keep the secret for her. She needs to plan carefully, ensuring that Shenjiao dies while also keeping herself out of it. Zhuang Xini doesn't want to end up in trouble because of Shenjiao, since she can't marry Mu Changfeng. Settling for the fourth young master of the Zhao family isn't a bad alternative. After all, she'd still be the fourth young mistress of the Zhao family. The Zhao family is considered a true wealthy and influential family in Guangxing. Thinking about what the fourth young master of the Zhao family said to her, Zhuang Xini feels upset again. I feel that Zhao Xixiao's attitude towards her has changed a lot. He actually forced her to live with him. You're right. I'll destroy all the evidence I've kept in a moment. Miss Zhuang, don't worry. I will never tell Xu Yuqing the truth. I can't stand her the most. As you know, back when Zhuang Xini found her and asked her to help frame Xu Yuqing, she agreed without hesitation. I came over tonight just to tell you this. I'm giving you that money and the necklace. It's late. You should go inside. I need to go back and rest too. Shenjiao hummed in acknowledgement. She didn't return the money and necklace to Zhuang Xini, because she felt it was hush money from her. After Zhuang Xini walked away, Shenjiao got out of the car, used her key to open the gate to the courtyard, then got back in the car and drove it into the villa. It was too late, and she couldn't be bothered to go through the hassle. So she just parked the car in the courtyard, not bothering to put it in the garage. A few minutes later, Shenjiao sat on her bed. Taking out a stack of money from the large document bag, Zhuang Xini had really gone all out this time, stuffing 100,000 yuan inside for her. She then opened the red brocade box, which contained a gold necklace. The style was the same as the one Zhuang Xini wore, though Zhuang Xini's had a pendant with diamonds, making it far more valuable than the one she gave to Shenjiao. Still, Shenjiao was quite satisfied. After putting the money and the gold necklace away, Shenjiao thought about getting off the bed to open the safe. The evidence of Zhuang Xini plagiarizing Xu Yuqing back then was all locked inside the safe. After moving a bit, Shenjiao dismissed the thought again. If I destroy the evidence, she definitely won't help me with anything in the future, and I won't be able to get any more benefits from her. I can't fall for her trick, Shenjiao muttered to herself. I'll keep this evidence. Maybe someday it could be exchanged for a sum of money. She locked the evidence in the safe, and Zhuang Xini had no idea about it. As for Xu Yuqing, it goes without saying, she didn't even know that she was an insider. Thinking this, Shenjiao decided to continue keeping the evidence. She did not do as Zhuang Xini had instructed. Chapter 385. The love letter written by the CEO's wife. After his identity was exposed, Mu Changfeng managed to soothe his wife, and the couple avoided a major conflict. His life returned to normal. No longer needing to pretend to be a laborer, he could dress in his usual suit and tie, riding in a luxury car escorted by his security team back to the company. Yuqing held their two children's hands as she saw him off at the door. Qingqing, I'm going to work. Will you be going back to the orchard? Ma Changfeng disliked coming home from work and not seeing his wife and children. Yuqing reached out to straighten his collar and said, I can leave the orchard matters for them to handle. But I still need to help out with the factory my sister and I are running together. She isn't very familiar with this area, so I have to go back. Seeing Ma Changfeng's handsome face fall, she changed her tone and said, I'll come back in the evening to pick you up from work. Only then did Mu Changfeng break into a smile. He then reached out in front of Yuqing and, under her puzzled gaze, reminded her, Honey, you promised to write me a love letter. Yuqing pulled a small envelope from her pocket. She had specifically asked someone to buy it for her so she could put the love letter inside for him. The envelope had been sealed with glue. She handed the envelope to Mu Changfeng and said, I keep my promises. I said I'd do it, and here it is. This is the first time in my life I've ever written a love letter to a man. Mu Changfeng smiled and took the envelope. It feels quite thin, just one sheet of paper. How thick could it be? Are there really only 6 words? Yuqing laughed. More than 6 words. I wrote a bit more. You can read it when you get back to the office. Okay, I heard she wrote a bit more, and Mu Changfeng was in a great mood. I'm off to work now. In the evening, come pick me up after work, alright? Only after Yuqing repeatedly promised did she manage to coax her husband into leaving. Mu Changfeng happily went off to work. Yuqing took her 2 children and drove her car back to Wangnyo village. Half an hour later, Mu Changfeng returned to his CEO office. Ouyang Wei was still following behind him. The two had met at the entrance of the office building and came upstairs together. You look so radiant today. Something good must have happened, right? Ouyang Wei asked with a gossipy tone. Mu Changfeng's delight was obvious even to a fool. Today, every employee who greeted him received a smile from the great CEO, Mu. It was clear that he was in an excellent mood. Mu Changfeng didn't say a word. Sitting down at his desk by himself, he then took out the envelope given to him by Yuqing, waved it at Ouyang Wei, and said delightedly, I received a love letter. Ouyang Wei, haven't you received plenty of love letters before? Back in school, countless girls sent you love letters. Mu Changfeng was self-disciplined and never got involved in romantic rumors with the opposite sex. During his school days, he never told anyone that he was the eldest son of the wealthiest family. Appearing no different from an ordinary student, but he was handsome. As a result, there were truly many girls who admired him. This is a love letter my wife wrote to me. Can it even compare to those infatuated girls' love letters? Ouyang Wei laughed and said, That's true. You're just showing off your love in front of me. If you're envious, hurry up and go on a blind date. Or, should I help arrange one for you? Mu Changfeng said while opening the envelope. Ouyang Wei teased him. How many good girls do you even know? You think you can set me up? But you only ended your single life because your wife's glasses broke and you mistook someone else for her. Mu Changfeng didn't mind his friend's teasing. After opening the envelope, he eagerly took out the letter inside. Yuqing had folded the envelope very beautifully. Mu Changfeng suddenly felt reluctant to open the letter, watching him treat that beautifully folded letter paper as a treasure. Ouyang Wei teased him. No matter how long you stare at it, it won't turn into a flower. My wife is so clever and skillful, even the letter paper is folded so beautifully. The young Master Mu was deliberately showing off his affection, making all the single dogs suffer. He slowly unfolded the letter paper. Yuqing's handwriting couldn't be described as delicate but rather vigorous and powerful. Flowing like dragons and dancing like phoenixes, seeing her writing was like seeing her in person. It truly matched her personality. Fortunately, young Master Mu's own handwriting is the same, so he could easily read the first love letter his wife wrote to him. Mu Changfeng, I love you. Yuqing's love letter only had these few words. Although she said she wrote a bit more, it was just because she wrote Mu Changfeng, I love you, 3 times. The last sentence was, important things need to be said 3 times, Mu Changfeng. Although this sentence is also sweet, Mu Changfeng still felt a bit disappointed. Her love letter essentially consisted of 2 sentences. One was Mu Changfeng, I love you, and the other was important things should be said 3 times. What did your wife write? Is it convenient to show me? I feel like you seem a bit disappointed after reading the love letter. Ouyang Wei's heart was as restless as an octopus. Itching with curiosity, he was very eager to know what the CEO's wife had written. But this is Mu Changfeng's private message. Without Mu Changfeng's consent, even as his close friend, it wouldn't be appropriate for him to snatch the letter and read it. Mu Changfeng would never let Ouyang Wei read the love letter. He carefully folded the letter. I am a bit disappointed. It's the first time I've received a love letter from my wife, and I was hoping she'd write at least a few hundred words. Instead, she only wrote a few dozen to brush me off. Still, even though the love letter is short and the word count is pitifully low, I feel sweet inside. Xu Yuqing's love letter was just a few sentences, yet it straightforwardly revealed her feelings. She is not the type who likes to beat around the bush. She acts with great energy and urgency. Even writing a love letter is like that. Ouyang Wei laughed and said, that just fits your wife's personality. I always thought she wasn't the type to write love letters with hundreds or even thousands of words. If he guessed correctly, Yuqing's love letter would just be one sentence. Mu Changfeng, I love you, Changfeng. If you think your wife's love letter is too short, you could write her a very long one. When she receives it and sees so many words, she'll feel a bit embarrassed, and next time she writes you a love letter, she'll probably write more, even if she copied it. Yuqing would still copy a few more words for Mu Changfeng. Mu Changfeng, I've never written a love letter. Go ask Baidu. Pick out the phrases that sound nice and can express your feelings for your wife, then copy them in. Copy a lot, and you'll have enough words. Mu Changfeng, you're telling me to copy? Ouyang Wei shrugged. If you can write it yourself, that would be best. Mu Changfeng was immediately at a loss for words. He really didn't know how to write a love letter, however. To make Yuqing happy and to encourage her to write long love letters to him in the future, he would rack his brains to write a 10,000-word love letter for her. Even if Yuqing still couldn't write long love letters to him in the future, at least he could make her happy. Chapter 386, Meeting Dong Jiaming again. Ring ring ring. The internal phone rang. Mu Changfeng pressed the speakerphone button. The secretary's voice came through. President Mu, there's a President Dong here to see you. President Dong from the Fu Group. Ouyang Wei raised an eyebrow and said, your former brother-in-law is here to see you. Dong Jiaming's entry into the Fu Corporation did not escape Ouyang Wei's notice. Mu Changfeng responded in a deep voice, let him in. After he hung up the phone, Ouyang Wei teased, are you seeing him because of your former brother-in-law relationship? I thought you would just refuse directly. It wouldn't hurt to meet. Mu Changfeng had already learned from his sister-in-law that Dong Jiaming would come to see him today, hoping to restore the cooperative relationship between the Fu Group and the Da Mu Group. Just based on Dong Jiaming, Mu Changfeng loved nothing more than putting arrogant people in their place. Dong Jiaming even allowed his sister to harm Yuqing by secretly taking photos of her accompanying Xiaojun on a blind date, then photoshopping Yuqing and Mu Changze together. Fortunately, Mu Changfeng knew everything, or else he might have believed it. Ouyang Wei smiled and said, then I'll go back to work first. You two brothers-in-law can have a good chat. Mu Changfeng emphasized, my sister-in-law has already divorced Dong Jiaming. Dong Jiaming was no longer his brother-in-law. Ouyang Wei smiled and corrected, all right, he was once. He left the president's office. Soon after, Dong Jiaming and Fu Lingling appeared together on the top floor. Before stepping out of the elevator, Dong Jiaming straightened his suit and tie, asking Fu Lingling, I look quite handsome, don't I? Fu Lingling affectionately linked her arm with his and praised, my taste is naturally excellent, admitting that Dong Jiaming is good-looking. Dong Jiaming is indeed handsome. Dressed in a suit and tie, which adds to his charm and makes him appear successful in his career. Jiaming, as long as you can restore the cooperation between the Fu family and the Damu group, my father will definitely agree to our marriage. Fu Lingling didn't forget to paint a rosy picture for Dong Jiaming. In reality, her parents didn't like Dong Jiaming. Looking down on his poor family background and viewing his entire family as greedy vampires, however, with the Fu Group on the verge of bankruptcy, Dong Jiaming had managed to bring in some small business opportunities after joining the company. Her father now wanted to make use of him, especially since Dong Jiaming was thick-skinned and eager to prove himself. If he could truly re-establish cooperation with the Damu Group, the Fu Group might just avoid collapse. Fu Lingling didn't understand business. But she knew that once the Fu Group went bankrupt, even if her life wouldn't change in the short term, living off dwindling resources would eventually leave the Fu family with nothing, accustomed to a life of luxury. She had no desire to become poor, and she lacked the skills to make money. If she could save the Fu Group, Fu Lingling wanted to do her best to rescue it. For the sake of continuing her extravagant lifestyle in the future, she had to try to save it. Today, accompanying Dong Jiaming, Fu Lingling also wanted to apologize to Mu Changfeng in person. Back then, it was her willfulness and reckless actions that caused the conflict between Mu Changfeng and his wife, ultimately leading to the crisis at Fu Corporation. Fu Lingling never expected that Mu Changfeng would terminate the cooperation with Fu Corporation. She thought that as long as Uncle Mu was around and the Da Mu Group remained, Fu Corporation would have nothing to worry about. But she overlooked the fact that a new leader brings new subordinates. The current head of the Damu Group is Mu Changfeng, not Uncle Mu anymore. Dong Jiaming said confidently, Mu Changfeng and I mean President Mu, were once brothers-in-law. Although I divorced Xu Yuyun, I am still Weiwei's biological father. Besides, the reason for our divorce wasn't that I did something wrong first, it was my sister. He didn't say any more. Because the two of them had already stepped out of the elevator, Fu Lingling was with him because she knew about the greed of the Dong family, to coax Dong Jiaming into working hard for her family. Fu Lingling helped Dong Xinyu with the down payment, while the monthly mortgage was to be repaid by Dong Xinyu and her husband. Dong Xinyu's husband and two older brothers were all arranged by Dong Jiaming to work at the Fu Group, though their positions were not high, and they only earned a few thousand yuan a month despite working extremely hard. Dong Jiaming had not yet fully established himself at the Fu Group and did not dare to arrange high-level positions for his relatives at the moment. At least they all had jobs now, and even if their monthly income was only a few thousand yuan, it was still better than being idle at home. Fu Lingling's parents are now extremely satisfied with her and often call to urge him to quickly register their marriage with Fu Lingling, so as not to miss out on this wealthy heiress. As for Xu Yuyun, the Dong family, now holding on to the golden brick that is Fu Lingling, has long since cast Xu Yuyun to the far reaches of the clouds. Only still thinking about Dong Wei, they plan to wait until Dong Jiaming becomes the head of the Fu family, then fight for custody of Dong Wei again and bring him back. Mu Changfeng's secretary led two people to the door of the president's office. The secretary knocked on the door and, after receiving Mu Changfeng's permission, pushed the door open and brought the two people inside. Before entering the president's office, Dong Jiaming straightened his clothes once more. Then, with a smile on his face, he went in. Mu Changfeng sat at his desk, not even looking up, focused solely on handling his documents. President, Mr. Dong and Miss Fu are here. Mu Changfeng still didn't look up, just instructed his secretary in a deep voice. Take President Dong and Miss Fu over there to sit. Yes, the secretary led the two to the sofa in the reception area, poured each of them a cup of warm water, and said, Our president is busy at the moment. Please have a drink and wait for a while. Dong Jiaming quickly expressed his thanks. The secretary soon left. Fu Lingling was the most impatient when it came to waiting. Several times, she wanted to get up and go talk to Mu Changfeng, but each time, Dong Jiaming held her back. Dong Jiaming whispered, Lingling, be patient. Be patient. We're here to ask for a favor now. We can't afford to be arrogant. Fu Lingling glanced at Mu Changfeng, then at Dong Jiaming, thinking of her family's situation. She bit her lower lip and nodded helplessly. Who told her that her head was once caught in the door, making her go and harass Mu Changfeng, taking advantage of him, and, as luck would have it, being seen by Xu Yuqing, causing a misunderstanding. Mu Changfeng made the two wait for quite a while before he finally put down his pen, stood up, and walked out from behind his desk. Dong Jiaming pulled Fu Lingling to her feet, his face beaming with a smile. Changfeng. Mu Changfeng's handsome face remained expressionless as he reminded Dong Jiaming, Director Dong, you should call me President Mu or Young Master Mu. We are brothers-in-law. President Dong has already divorced my sister-in-law, so now President Dong is Miss Fu's man, right? He's no longer my brother-in-law. So President Dong doesn't need to claim any family ties with me. Mu Changfeng walked over, sat down on the sofa, and glanced at Dong Jiaming with a sidelong look. Dong Jiaming smiled awkwardly. We were once brothers-in-law, after all, that was in the past, but it's not the case now. May I ask what brings you two here today? Dong Jiaming smiled warmly and said, President Mu, I'm here on behalf of the Fu Group to discuss a collaboration with you. Our two companies had a very pleasant and deep partnership in the past. Chapter 387, Rejecting the Collaboration. Mu Changfeng interrupted him. President Dong, you may have misunderstood the meaning of a pleasant collaboration. I don't think the cooperation between our two companies was pleasant at all. That was a poverty alleviation style cooperation from the Da Mu Group. Dong Zhongming was left speechless. He had looked into the cooperation between the two companies. The two families had been close for generations, and Fu Lingling hadn't lied to him back then. However, the Fu Group was clearly not on the same level as the Da Mu Group. The Fu Group was dispensable to Da Mu, while Da Mu was the Fu Group's backbone. After Mu Changfeng terminated the cooperation with the Fu Group was suppressed by its competitors and nearly went bankrupt. Now, it's just a matter of holding on to a glimmer of hope, counting on him to turn the tide and bring Fu Corporation back to life. Dong Jiaming thought the same. If he manages to save Fu Corporation, it will be his from now on. Changfeng, Fu Lingling spoke up, apologetically saying, Changfeng, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have acted so recklessly, without considering the consequences. I've let you down and caused the two companies to break off their cooperation. It's all my fault, and I apologize to you. I'm sorry, but business is business. That's our personal matter. Don't let a small issue affect the cooperation between our two companies or the friendship between my father and Uncle Mu. We're all adults and have studied abroad. That way, it wouldn't really be a loss for you. She had just run into Mu Changfeng when he pushed her away. Mu Changfeng said coldly, Don't bring that matter up to me again. For all these years, the Fu family has relied on our Da Mu Group to do so many things. You may not be aware, but your father knows. Moreover, the cooperation between Da Mu and the Fu family has been a form of poverty alleviation. It hasn't been mutually beneficial and has actually been a burden on our company. Miss Fu, I'm a business person. Business is all about profit. If there's no benefit, why would I continue to cooperate with you? Mu Changfeng had long wanted to end the cooperation with the Fu family, but out of respect for his father's friendship with Mr. Fu, he held back. It was Fu Lingling's reckless actions that gave him an excuse to finally put an end to the poverty alleviation style cooperation with the Fu family. After the termination of the partnership was announced, everyone in the company praised his wisdom. The Fu family is too arrogant. They have no real skills and are merely surviving by relying on the Da Mu Group. Sensible people keep a low profile, but the Fu family is extremely arrogant. Everyone in the company despises them. President Mu, our Fu family cannot compare to your Da Mu Group. However, we have been making some progress recently. I believe that if our two companies collaborate again, it could be a win-win situation. I hope President Mu will give us a chance. Mu Changfeng sneered, the Fu family making progress. If it weren't for my father pleading on behalf of the Fu family, asking him not to completely dismantle it, the Fu family would have gone bankrupt long ago. How could it have survived until now? Even if he didn't completely dismantle the Fu family, it still couldn't withstand the pressure from competitors. After Dong Jiaming joined the Fu family, he only managed to secure a few small deals that didn't make any profit. At best, it just gave the workers something to do. Dong Jiaming has no connections, no background, and no financial resources. How could he possibly revive the Fu family with just the little experience and workplace connections he accumulated from his previous company? Dream on. Mu Changfeng now disdains to suppress the Fu Corporation, allowing it to gradually disappear and go bankrupt, making the Fu family father and daughter overwhelmed before they taste the bitterness of powerlessness. There's no need for the two of you to waste your time. I have no intention of collaborating with the Fu Corporation again. After saying this, Mu Changfeng dialed the internal line to his secretary, instructing her to come in and see the guests out. Changfeng, Mu Changfeng. Fu Lingling suddenly stood up and said, Mu Changfeng, you're deliberately retaliating and suppressing my family's business. If you blame me for ruining the relationship between you and your wife, I'll go explain it to her clearly. Mu Changfeng said coldly, Miss Fu, I made it very clear just now. I'm a businessman who only cares about interests. And it has nothing to do with personal feelings. My wife trusts me completely now, so there's no need for you to explain anything. You're doing this on purpose, intentionally retaliating against me and suppressing my family's company, Mu Changfeng. Don't think your Da Mu group will always thrive. Sooner or later, your Da Mu group will also go bankrupt. Fu Lingling's temper could only be contained for a short while. When her apology didn't yield the result she wanted, her foul temper erupted once again. Dong Jiaming quickly dragged her away from Mu Changfeng's CEO office. Not even waiting for the secretary to ask them to leave, Dong Jiaming pulled Fu Lingling into the elevator, and only after the doors closed did he let go of her. Lingling, I told you on the way here that we're here to beg Mu Changfeng for help. We need to lower our pride. No matter how he treats us, we have to endure it. Now, it's all ruined. We probably won't even be able to get past the front gate next time. Dong Jiaming complained. None of the Fu family members know how to run a business. No wonder none of the veterans of the Fu group stayed. As soon as Mr. Fu took over, those veterans saw through him and left the Fu group one by one. However, when Mr. Fu took over, his friendship with Mu Gang did help keep the Fu group from going bankrupt. But now, Dong Jiaming thought that while he could still gain some benefits from the Fu family, he should take advantage of it first, rather than trying to save the Fu family. After all, the Fu family had been wealthy for generations. Even if Fu Lingling was extravagant, a starved camel is still bigger than a horse, and Dong Jiaming could still reap many benefits from her. Dong Jiaming was never sincere about Fu Lingling. He was only after her status and the Fu family's wealth. Deep down, he still had some feelings for his ex-wife, Xu Yulon. As they had been married for several years and had a son together, he and Fu Lingling were intimate almost every day, and Fu Lingling never took any contraceptive measures. Yet there was still no sign of pregnancy. Dong Jiaming even suspected that Fu Lingling might have played around too much, which affected her fertility and led to infertility. I just couldn't stand it. Mu Changfeng used to be quite polite to our family, but now he's extremely cold. I couldn't help but lose my temper. Besides, I've already apologized to him. What more does he want? I did it on purpose at the time. But I barely touched him before he pushed me away. What did he lose? If his wife misunderstood, it's because their relationship isn't strong enough and they don't trust each other. How is that my fault? Fu Lingling complained. I already told you, begging him is useless. Jiaming, you should think of other ways. Go out and do more business. As long as you can revive my family's company, we'll get married. After that, you'll be the one in charge of the Fu family. She also makes empty promises to Dong Jiaming. Dong Jiaming sighed. I've done my best. Fu Lingling linked her arm with his and said coquettishly, Jiaming, come shopping with me. I've got my eye on a few new bags. Let's go buy them and get you some new clothes too. We should at least go back and let your dad know. Just make a phone call. Dong Jiaming paused for a moment before saying, all right then. The clothes Fu Lingling gave him were all branded items. He could resell them later and make some money. Chapter 388, The CEO's Wife vs. The White Moonlight. Dong Jiaming called President Fu, who didn't say much about his failure to restore the cooperation with Damu. Even after he approached Mu Gang several times to no avail, could Dong Jiaming persuade Mu Changfeng. Dong Jiaming is also the ex-brother-in-law of the eldest daughter-in-law of the Mu family. Perhaps it was Mu Changfeng's doing that Dong Jiaming lost his job before. As the two of them walked out of the office building, they ran into someone, Yu. Dong Jiaming didn't know Yu. But Fu Lingling did. When she saw Yu, she thought her eyes were playing tricks on her. Yu didn't notice Fu Lingling and went straight into the office building. Who is that woman? Dong Jiaming asked Fu Lingling. You're really beautiful, and you have a great figure. The car you drive is even more luxurious than Fu Lingling's. She must be a wealthy heiress. After Dong Jiaming attached himself to Fu Lingling, a wealthy heiress, he began to feel exceptionally accomplished. Believing he was so charming that even a rich young lady could be drawn to him, loving him to the point of obsession, relying on Fu Lingling is not a long-term plan. As the Fu family is on the verge of bankruptcy, if he hasn't found another option, continuing to leech off the Fu family wouldn't be a problem. However, Dong Jiaming still hoped to find a new job. Seeing Yu, he was quite captivated. You don't know her, Fu Lingling said. She actually came back. Many people thought she was dead. Dong Jiaming asked curiously again, who is she? You seemed quite surprised when you saw her. Fu Lingling laughed and said, "Your ex-sister-in-law's love rival. Ha ha ha, this drama is getting interesting. I'm curious to see if Xu Yuqing can hold her position as the eldest daughter-in-law of the Mu family." So, she likes the eldest young master of the Mu family. Dong Jiaming immediately dismissed the idea of getting close to An Yu. He considers himself excellent, but compared to Mu Changfeng, it's like comparing an elephant to an ant. He knows his own limitations. Better hurry and get more benefits from Fu Lingling first. Fu Lingling was unaware of Dong Jiaming's thoughts and continued, "That's Mu Changfeng's true childhood sweetheart, someone he grew up with. Mu Changfeng is genuinely tolerant of her. No matter what she does, he never holds it against her. If she hadn't been in love with the second young master of the Qin family and married into the Qin family as the second young mistress, Mu Changfeng wouldn't have hesitated to pursue her. But since he couldn't steal his brother's wife, he remained single, which ended up benefiting Xu Yuqing instead. Although An Yu did not marry Mu Changfeng, in the eyes of Fu Lingling and others, An Yu still holds a special place in Mu Changfeng's heart. An Yu's return is bound to affect the relationship between Mu Changfeng and Xu Yuqing. She's already married, Dong Jiaming said, but her husband passed away. He's been gone for over 4 years. The 2 children Mu Changfeng is raising are hers. Dong Jiaming laughed. Well, this drama is really getting interesting. Xu Yuqing can't compare to her in any way. I believe President Mu will soon divorce Xu Yuqing. His whole family resents Xu Yuqing. He felt that Xu Yuqing was meddling too much, which led to his divorce from Xu Yuyun. But their attempts to retaliate against Xu Yuqing were ineffective. After learning that Xu Yuqing had become the wife of the eldest son of the wealthy Mu family, his family regretted it. Regretting that they should not have divorced Xu Yuyun. If they hadn't divorced, their Dong family could have become relatives of the wealthiest family. Xu Yuyun cannot turn back. Dong Jiaming can only hope that Xu Yuqing has bad luck. The 2 of them walked out while gossiping about Mu Changfeng and An Yu. Meanwhile, An Yu ignored the front desk's attempts to stop her and went straight upstairs to find Mu Changfeng. However, An Yu was stopped by Mu Changfeng's secretary and couldn't enter the office directly. "I have something important to discuss with your President Mu. I suggest you let me in." An Yu was being arrogant. The secretary politely said, "Miss An, I'm sorry, but President Mu is not seeing any guests right now. Please leave. I must see Changfeng today." The secretary still said politely, "Since Miss An insists on seeing our President Mu, please proceed to the VIP lounge and wait. Once President Mu is finished with his work and is willing to see you, I will notify Miss An." An Yu wanted to force her way into Mu Changfeng's office, but the secretary was also very firm, and she couldn't get in. "Miss An, if you continue like this, I will call security to come up and escort you out." An Yu glared fiercely at the secretary and shouted, "One day, I'll have Changfeng fire you. I'll be waiting for that day to come." Even the president's wife treats him, a mere secretary, with respect. What kind of person is An Yu to think she can get President Mu to fire him? The secretary sneered inwardly at An Yu's arrogance and ignorance. Rumors outside claim that the president's first love is the second young master Qin's wife. But the secretary, having been by Mu Changfeng's side for years, sees it clearly. The only woman Mr. Mu truly cares about and loves is their president's wife. An Yu angrily went to the VIP lounge to wait. She waited until evening. Yu Qing came to pick up Mu Changfeng from work with their 2 children. She had even bought a bouquet of flowers, holding the flowers in one hand and her daughter's hand in the other, while her son held onto his sister's hand. It was like she was managing 2 kids at once. As the CEO's wife, she naturally had no trouble getting through. Soon, she and the 2 children made their way up to the top floor. President's wife, Secretary Zhao. Yu Qing smiled in response to the secretary's greeting, "Uncle Zhao." The 2 children also sweetly called out to Secretary Zhao. Secretary Zhao smiled and patted Qin Fan's head, then said to Yu Qing, "Madam, are you here to pick up President Mu after work? President Mu should be done with work by now. You can go right in." "Thank you, Secretary Zhao. I'll go in and check then." Secretary Zhao still escorted Yu Qing to the door of the president's office. Yu Qing knocked on the door and waited for a response before pushing it open. Secretary Zhao tactfully did not follow her in to avoid being a third wheel. As soon as Yu Qing entered the CEO's office with the 2 children, Anua emerged from the VIP room. She had been waiting for a long time and was filled with frustration. seeing Secretary Zhao, she put on a stern face again and asked coldly, "Who are you talking to just now? I thought I heard Xu Yuqing's voice. How could she just come in and see Changfeng so casually? What gives her the right, that country bumpkin? What gives her the right to see Mu Changfeng anytime?" Secretary Zhao looked at Anu and replied word by word, "Because she is the president's wife. The apple of our president Mu's eye. Madam is free to come and go in the company. Anu," she said jealously, "Changfeng will divorce her sooner or later. He definitely will. She came back for Changfeng. Because of her love for Changfeng, she lost a lot, made many mistakes, and suffered no small amount of humiliation. She would never let Xu Yuqing take away everything that belonged to her." Secretary Zhao thought Anu had lost her mind. He was wary of letting Anu in. Anu actually wanted to go in. She couldn't stand seeing Mu Changfeng and Yuqing with her 2 children, looking like a family of 4. She wants to ruin that scene. Unfortunately, Secretary Zhao guards against her as if she were a thief, making it impossible for her to barge into the office despite several attempts. Chapter 389, The Child's Choice. Yuqing had no idea that Anua was right outside. She entered the office with 2 children and walked toward the man sitting at the desk. Holding a bouquet of flowers, Mu Changfeng put down his pen and looked up to see the woman he loved approaching with a vibrant, eye-catching bouquet. A smile couldn't help but spread across his handsome face. "Ching, you're here." Mu Changfeng stood up, walked around the desk, and took a few steps forward. Yuqing handed him the bouquet and said, "I told you I'd come to pick you up after work in the evening, and I meant it. Are you done with work?" Mu Changfeng took the bouquet. His smile as bright as the midday sun. "I'm done." Even if he wasn't finished, his wife came to pick him up, and he wouldn't work anymore. Ching, what made you think of giving me flowers? This bouquet is so beautiful, I just felt like giving them to you. No reason needed, if you like them. I can give you flowers every day. Mu Changfeng laughed and said, "Of course I like it. Even if it were just a blade of grass, I would still love it because it came from you." Holding the bouquet in one hand, he tried to pull Yuqing in for a kiss with the other, but she pushed him away. "Ahem." Qin Fan coughed twice at just the right moment. "Mu Changfeng, you 2 are here too." Qin Fan and Qin Yu. "Dad, do you only have eyes for Mom? Is there no place for us?" Although they are young, the siblings standing together are quite noticeable. Yet Dad didn't even see them. Dad even said he would love them forever. Compared to Mom, they still have to step aside. Yuqing looked at the 2 children, who seemed a bit hurt, and laughed. "I came in with my son and daughter, and you didn't even notice them. Look how you've hurt their feelings." Mo Kangfeng smiled and crouched down, wrapping an arm around each of the children. Mom's bouquet is so big and the flowers are so bright and eye-catching that they instantly caught Dad's attention. "So I didn't notice you too. Dad, do you still love us?" Qin Fan's question carried a hint of teasing. Mu Changfeng replied, "Of course, Dad will always love you. I thought Dad's love for us disappeared after he got Mom." These words were spoken by Qin Yu. Mu Changfeng. No. Mu Changfeng laughed a bit guiltily. He had been so focused on his wife just now that he genuinely hadn't noticed his 2 children. The 2 children generously forgave their father's oversight. "Let's go. We're going home to eat." Mu Changfeng held the bouquet in one hand and took his daughter's little hand in the other, saying to Yuqing, but while the 2 children weren't paying attention, he whispered to Yuqing, "I read the love letter you wrote me, and I really liked it. Next time, write a bit more, and I'll like it even more." Yuqing also whispered back, "I can only write love letters like that. I wouldn't know how to write more, if you don't mind. I could copy some affectionate sentences from the internet for you." "Forget it, the love letter you wrote is fine. No need to copy from the internet. No matter how romantic a copied love poem is, it never feels sincere." Knowing that Yuqing could only write a 3-sentence love letter, Mu Changfeng accepted it. After all, it was written stroke by his wife, and it came from her heart. He shouldn't complain. A family of 4 left the office. They naturally spotted Anu waiting outside. Upon seeing Anu, Mu Changfeng's expression darkened. The 2 children also stopped smiling. Only Xu Yuqing's expression was the most normal. Anu looked at this family of 4, her eyes nearly blazing with anger. The 2 children were born by her own flesh and blood, carried for 10 months. No matter who their biological father is, she is their biological mother. Yet Xu Yuqing had snatched her children away and become their mother. and Yu was extremely arrogant in front of Secretary Zhao. But now, seeing the family of 4, even though she was furious, she managed to control her temper. Changfeng, and Yu's voice was gentle. Yuqing listened to her calling Changfeng's name, thinking to herself that if she were a man, hearing an Yu's voice like that would make her bones go weak. She turned her head to look at Mu Changfeng. Mu Changfeng's face was tightly drawn. You haven't left yet. What are you doing here again? Mu Changfeng's voice was icy cold. Although the 2 children are Tianyu's, there must be something wrong between Anua and Qin Wentian. Tianyu's death is inextricably linked to both Yu and Qin Wentian, and Yu forced a smile and looked at the 2 children with affection, saying softly, I wanted to see the 2 children, so I came. You were busy, and I didn't want to disturb you, so I waited in the VIP lounge until now. Mu Changfeng lowered his head to look at the 2 children and said gravely, You've seen them now. They're doing well. Now that you've seen them, you can leave. In the future, don't come to my company again and make things difficult for my secretary. Secretary Zhao stopped Yu, but while asking Mu Changfeng to sign some documents, he informed him about the situation. Mu Changfeng didn't want to deal with Yu, so he let her wait in the VIP room the whole time. Yuqing said that Yu loved him. Mu Changfeng recalled every bit of his, Tianyu's, and Yu's growing up together. But he didn't feel that Yu loved him, and Yu and Tianyu got along better, partly because he deliberately kept his distance, as he noticed that Tianyu liked Yu. A woman's intuition is very accurate. Yuqing said that Yu loved him, and Mu Changfeng thought that perhaps he had been too careless to notice. Whether Yu loved him or not, he had never felt any affection for her. In his eyes, Yu was the wife of his childhood friend, and one should never covet a friend's wife. Even though he had grown up with Yu, he had to keep his distance from her. Changfeng, I want to spend some time with the 2 children. I am their biological mother, but I have never heard them call me mom. Yu looked at the 2 children and made a request to Mu Changfeng. She wanted to use the 2 children to insert herself into the family of 4, so that she would have the opportunity to gradually pull Mu Changfeng back to her side and destroy the marriage between Changfeng and Yuqing. Mom. As soon as Yu finished speaking, Qin Fan called out Mom, but he wasn't calling Yu Mom, he was calling Yuqing. He also turned around and hugged Yuqing's leg, looking up with his little face. Mom, I want a hug. Yuqing glanced at Anua and then picked up Qin Fan. Mom, you will always be my mom, and you're the only mom I recognize. Qin Fan said, wrapping his arms around Yuqing's neck. He doesn't want his biological mother. The biological mother isn't sincere, the little one is quite clever. Yu's look at them made Qin Fan feel that this biological mother was very hypocritical, and the things she said weren't sincere. It felt like she was using him and his sister as an excuse. Mom, Qin Yu always followed her brother's lead. Whatever he did, she would cooperate and do the same. She also reached out to Yuqing, asking to be held by her. Yuqing crouched down, set her son aside, but instead of pushing him away, she also drew her daughter close, embracing both children. Mom, you will always be our mom. Qin Yu also followed suit, expressing her stance, and she even gave Yuqing a kiss on the cheek. Chapter 390. Yu's threat. The statements from the 2 children, along with their affectionate gestures toward Yuqing, truly infuriated Yu. She didn't blame the children, she resented Shu Yuqing. It's unclear what kind of charm Shu Yuqing used on her 2 children, making them refuse to acknowledge their biological mother and instead choose to regard Shu Yuqing as their mother for life. Yu suppressed her anger without letting it show. With Mu Changfeng present, venting her anger at Shu Yuqing would not do her any good. Instead, it would only make Mu Changfeng dislike her. Yeah, Yu also crouched down, reaching out to pull Qin Yu, trying to draw her closer. Qin Yu brushed her hand away, refusing to be pulled. Yeah, I am your birth mother. Yeah, look at me. She is not your mother. I am your real mother. After being pushed away by Qin Yu, Yu did not give up and reached out again to pull her, even attempting to forcefully draw Qin Yu closer. Let go of me. I only want my mom. Qin Yu struggled, refusing to go over. Yu pulled her forcefully, and she felt a sharp pain in her arm. Is this really her biological mother, grabbing her with such force, pulling her? Missen. Yuqing wanted to pull Qin Yu back, but seeing the look of pain on Qin Yu's little face, she worried that struggling with Yu over Qin Yu would cause her even more suffering, So she chose to let go. As soon as she let go, Chinyu was pulled over by Anyu. Yeah, look at me, I am your mother. I carried you for 10 months and gave birth to you. After pulling Chinyu over, Anyu tightly gripped her arms, not letting her break free. Dad, she's hurting me. Chinyu turned her head and shouted at Mu Changfeng. Hearing this, Mu Changfeng stepped forward and pushed Anyu away. He picked up Chinyu. He thought that Anyu was, after all, the biological mother of the two children. When Anyu tried to get close to the child, he didn't stop her immediately. But he didn't expect that Anyu would hurt Yeye. As Anyu was pushed away, Mu Changfeng saw the red marks on Chinyu's arm where Anyu had grabbed her. She clearly used all her strength to snatch Yuanyuan from Yuqing. Yuqing let go on her own. Probably because she was afraid that the two adults pulling at Chinyu would hurt the child. She is not Chinyu's biological mother, yet she still cares for the child, and Yu, as the biological mother, completely disregarded this point. Only focused on snatching the child from Yuqing, Mu Changfeng glared at Anyu and said coldly, Anyu, you are the child's biological mother. I let you see the child, but look at how you treated her. You grabbed Yeye's arm so hard it turned red. Yuqing isn't the biological mother. Yet she was worried that the adults tugging would hurt the child and let go on her own. What did you, the biological mother, do? After being pushed away by Mu Changfeng, Anyu took 2 steps back. When he accused her, she looked at Chinyu's arm. The little girl had always been pampered by the Mu family, fair and delicate, and now her arm was indeed red. Anyu quickly blamed herself, saying, Changfeng, I didn't mean to, I didn't control my strength well. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mom didn't mean it. Does it hurt? It's Mom's fault, it's my bad. As she spoke, she slapped one hand with the other, making it look as if she was hitting herself hard. While hitting herself, she continued, Yeah. It's Mom's fault, Mom didn't control her strength well. Mom is hitting her hand. Chinyu, with her arms wrapped around Mu Changfeng's neck, glanced at Anyu before turning away. She rested her head on Mu Changfeng's shoulder and said softly, Daddy, I want to go home. Secretary Zhao, please escort Miss An out. Mu Changfeng instructed Secretary Zhao, do not allow Miss An to enter the company again without my permission in the future. Changfeng, Anyu cried out in a low voice. Changfeng, you can't treat me like this. I didn't control my strength well and hurt Yeye, but I was just anxious. The two children are clearly my own, and hearing them call Shu Yuqing Mom makes me jealous. I just wanted to get close to my children. Mu Changfeng had no interest in arguing with her further. Holding his daughter, he said to Yuqing, Qingqing, pick up Fan Fan. Let's go home. Yuqing held her son and left together with Mu Changfeng. Changfeng. Anyu chased after the family of 4. Countless times she tried to block Mu Changfeng's path, but each time he pushed her away. Changfeng, if you don't let me get close to the children, if you don't let me see them, I'll take you to court to fight for custody of the 2 children. They are the grandchildren of the Qin family. My own flesh and blood. You know very well what my chances of winning are. The 2 children could understand the adult's words. Qin Fan had initially been afraid that Mu Changfeng wouldn't fight for their custody with their biological mother and would send them back to her. Now, hearing their biological mother's clamor about taking them to court to regain custody, Qin Fan instinctively tightened his grip on Yuqing's clothes. Fan Fan, don't be afraid. Yuqing hugged her son tightly, her heart aching. Don't be afraid, Dad is here. Mu Changfeng put down his daughter and said to Yuqing, Qingqing, please take the children downstairs first. Yuqing hummed in agreement. She took Chinyu's hand and led the 2 children into the elevator. After his wife and children had left, Mu Changfeng glared coldly at Anyu and said icily, Anyu, you want to sue me for custody of the 2 children. Do you think your chances of winning are high? When the children were 3 months old, you abandoned them and disappeared without a trace, over the past 4 years. Have you fulfilled your responsibilities as a mother? It's true, I let them keep the surname Qin, but that's because their father was Tianyu. I refrained from changing their surname out of respect for Tianyu. For so many years, the Qin family's attitude toward the 2 children has been known to everyone in Guangxing. Whether it's you or the Qin family, if you want to fight me for custody in court, I'm ready to face you at any time. The children have been adopted by Mu Changfeng since they were 3 months old. He treats them as his own, providing them with the best life possible, And the entire Mu family has been extremely kind to the two children. In contrast, Yu and the Qin family have essentially abandoned the children, showing them no care or concern. Now that they want to fight for custody, it won't be that easy. Mu Changfeng was not at all afraid of Yu's threats. Yu, Changfeng, I don't want to go to court with you either, but I truly want to return to the children's side. Yes, I haven't fulfilled my responsibilities as a mother over the past 4 years, but I carried them, gave birth to them. I am their biological mother. I can promise that I will fulfill my responsibilities as a mother from now on. Of course, as long as you allow me to visit the children anytime and get close to them, I won't fight you for custody, Yu said. They've grown accustomed to living by your side, and I know you've been good to them. Staying with you is what's best for them. But they need a mother's love. I am their biological mother, and I don't want to hear them call Shu Yuqing mom anymore. Chapter 391. Nagasawa also has a little scheme. Changfeng, you and Shu Yuqing are not a good match. She isn't worthy of you, and you said so much in the hope that Mu Changfeng would divorce Shu Yuqing, so that she would have a chance. Mu Changfeng said coldly, whether I'm worthy or not is not for you to say. I understand your meaning. If you think you can win the lawsuit, you're welcome to go ahead and file it. After speaking, Mu Changfeng was too cold to bother with Yu. He was about to walk past Yu. Changfeng. Yu quickly turned to face Mu Changfeng, reaching out to grab him, but he dodged her hand. Changfeng, why are you treating me like this? You're so cold to me. I'm not trying to take the children away from you. I just want them to have a complete and warm home. You used to be so good to me. Is it because Shu Yuqing has been slandering me and saying bad things about you? Mu Changfeng glared at her and said word by word, my family of 4 is very happy. And the 2 children already have a complete and warm home. How I treat you is entirely for Tianyu's sake. How Tianyu died, you know better than I do. Yu, put away your little schemes. I have never had any feelings for you, not in the past, not now, and certainly not in the future. I am married, and my wife is Shu Yuqing. After saying that, Mu Changfeng pushed Yu aside and walked away. Yu was pushed by him and almost fell, but that wasn't what hurt her the most. What hurt the most were the words Mu Changfeng said. He said he had never had any feelings for her. Was she not good looking? She is absolutely stunning and captivating. Their family was once on equal footing with the Mu family. One could say they were well matched in social status. Does he not like her at all? They are childhood sweethearts. Changfeng said that all the tolerance he had shown her in the past was because of Tianyu. It was because of Tianyu. How Tianyu died, she knew best. Mu Changfeng hated her. She was regarded as the murderer who caused Tianyu's death. Indeed, she couldn't escape responsibility for Tianyu's death. Yu's face turned pale. Mu Changfeng didn't care about Yu's condition at all. He took the elevator downstairs and soon saw his wife and children. Dad. The 2 children saw Mu Changfeng come out and trotted over to him. Mu Changfeng crouched down, waiting for his son and daughter to rush into his arms, holding the 2 children. He felt as if he had the whole world. Yuqing didn't see Yu. When Mu Changfeng stood up and walked over with the 2 children, she asked, where is Missen? Never mind her. Mu Changfeng let go of the 2 children and instead took Yuqing's hand, saying earnestly, Qingqing, I only love you, and that will never change. Given that Anua had approached Yuqing privately, offering 5 million to persuade her to divorce him, Mu Changfeng was very afraid that Yuqing might actually sell him out. Yuqing smiled and said, I know, you don't need to keep explaining. I believe you are innocent. Let's go, we're going home to eat. Mu Changfeng was grateful for his wife's trust in him. In the past, Yuqing would have definitely questioned him, but now she trusts him completely. It was worth being completely open and sincere with her. After getting in the car, Yuqing asked with concern, what else did Missen say? Is she still fighting for custody? That's her threat. What she really means, you know. Yuqing looked at him and suddenly gently pinched his handsome face, whether it's a man or a woman. Being too good looking is a curse. If you don't cause trouble for others, others will still come to pester you and try to cause trouble for you. Ma Changfeng wrapped his arm around her shoulder and said in a low voice, I only want to cause trouble for you. Yu chased after him, only to see Mu Changfeng's convoy drive out of the Da Mu group, quickly disappearing from her sight. Yu stood at the entrance of the office building, saying resentfully, Changfeng, I won't give up. Erway Company. Lin Xiaojun kept glancing at her boss's office from time to time. It's time to get off work. Why hasn't that iceberg clocked out yet? She is Mu Chang's secretary. Since Mu Chang's hasn't left yet, she feels too embarrassed to leave first. He had her cancel all his plans for tonight. Was it just to work overtime? Seeing that it was already dark outside, Lin Xiaojun had no choice but to knock on Mu Chang's office door. Come in. Mu Chang's voice came from inside. Lin Xiaojun pushed the door open and entered. Seeing Mu Chang's buried in paperwork, she walked over and stood in front of his desk. Hearing the familiar footsteps, Mu Chang's looked up at her. His gaze was deep, and when he looked at Lin Xiaojun, it seemed to flicker with a unique brightness. It seems like a ball of fire. Lin Xiaojun was used to his cold gaze. Even if there was fire hidden in his eyes, she could remain calm. What do you want? Mu Chang's tried his best to make his voice sound gentler. President Mu, it's already after work hours, and it's dark outside, Lin Xiaojun reminded him. President Mu, you still need to eat, right? Mu Chang's stared at her for a moment before asking in a low voice, are you concerned about me? I need to eat too. Lin Xiaojun's words shattered Mu Chang's hope. She wasn't concerned about whether he was hungry, she was concerned about herself. He is her boss, if he doesn't leave. She feels awkward leaving too. What time is it now? Mu Chang's asked a question, and without waiting for Lin Xiaojun to answer, he raised his left hand to check his wristwatch, then began tidying up his desk. A moment later, he walked around the desk and said to Lin Xiaojun, let's go, I'll treat you to a meal. We're going to explore the food street. Lin Xiaojun originally intended to decline the invitation to eat with him, hearing him say he was going to the food street. She couldn't resist the temptation of the food street. She has been so busy lately and hasn't visited the food street for a long time, especially missing the various delicacies there. Okay, Lin Xiaojun agreed. She didn't notice that Mu Chang's lips curled up slightly, with a hint of a smile at the corners. The two of them left the office together. Who knew that as soon as they stepped out of the office, all the lights went out? Lin Xiaojun instinctively stopped and said, why did all the lights go out? Is there a power outage? Maybe it's a power outage. Mu Chang's deep voice sounded beside her. Lin Xiaojun couldn't see the situation outside now. It was unclear whether it was a power outage or if the electricity had been deliberately cut off. Without electricity, the elevator couldn't be used. Although the office building of Erway Company is not as tall as the headquarters, taking the stairs is still time-consuming and tiring. Lin Xiaojun is wearing high heels. We have to take the stairs, Mu Chang's said, taking out his phone and turning on the built-in flashlight. He then naturally reached out and took Lin Xiaojun's hand, saying to her, don't be afraid, I'll hold your hand as we go. I'm not afraid, our company has never had any ghost stories, so I'm not scared. Although Lin Xiaojun claimed she wasn't afraid, she instinctively moved closer to Mu Chang's and did not resist when he held her hand, muttering under his breath, if there's really a power outage, we won't be able to sleep tonight. It's going to be unbearably hot. On a scorching hot day, a power outage is the hardest to endure. Chapter 392. After the power outage, Mu Chang's held her hand tightly, leading her down the stairs. It might just be a brief power outage. If it's a long-term outage, we would receive a notification, Mu Chang's said. Lin Xiaojun thought it over and found it reasonable. During summer, the peak electricity usage period, sometimes it's necessary to stagger power consumption. But factories are always notified in advance so they can make arrangements. No notice of a power outage was received, it's just a brief outage. And the power will be back soon. President Mu, don't walk so fast, I'm wearing high heels. Mu Chang's walked with big strides, while Lin Xiaojun, wearing high heels, couldn't keep up on the stairs. Mu Chang's slowed down his pace. After work hours, everyone in the company had left, and I didn't run into a third person all the way down. It was pitch black and eerily quiet all around. Lin Xiaojun felt a bit spooked and instinctively moved closer to Mu Chang's, wishing she could cling to him entirely. Mr. Mu, when our company was building the factory, did you hire a feng shui master or any spiritual practitioners to check things out? There aren't any creepy things here, are there? The company is usually lively, but now it's so quiet and dark, it's giving me the creeps. Mu Chang's chuckled and said, you, who are always so bold, are actually afraid of ghosts. I've encountered supernatural things before, so I'm quite afraid of ghosts. Lin Xiaojun said honestly. One night when I was 18, around 1 in the morning, I had a dream and woke up. The moonlight that night was exceptionally bright, as if it were daytime, and I even thought it was already dawn. About 10 minutes after I woke up, I heard shouting outside the house. It was a man's voice, like my father's, calling, "Xiaojun, open the door, Xiaojun, open the door." He kept calling, but I didn't respond. Lin Xiaojun recalled the strange events she had experienced, and then what? Mu Changze was intrigued by her words. He tightened his grip on Lin Xiaojun's hand, letting her know that he was by her side and that she didn't need to be afraid. Lin Xiaojun continued, "At the time, I thought it was my dad coming back from the market after an early morning grocery run, having forgotten his keys, so he was asking me to open the door, but my brother and younger brother's rooms are both closer to the front door. If my dad was calling for someone to open it, they would have heard it more clearly. I figured they would get up and open the door, so I stayed lying in bed without moving or responding. But that voice kept calling out. I got so annoyed. And I was also angry that my brothers wouldn't get up to open the door, and my dad, why didn't he call on them instead of just calling for me over and over? So I got up and went to open the door. Our main house has 2 doors, and there's another gate in the courtyard. I opened the inner door of the main house, but I didn't have the key for the outer one, so I started looking around for it. That's when I woke my mom. She asked me, "Where are you going in the middle of the night?" I told my mom that my dad was calling me to open the door, and he had been calling for a long time. My mom quickly said, "Your dad is sleeping like a log here. How could he be calling you to open the door? Close the door quickly." Lin Xiaojun paused for a moment before continuing. I didn't quite believe my mom because the voice sounded just like my dad's. I wasn't dreaming, I was fully awake, and the voice had been calling for a long time. Later, I went to my mom's room to check. And sure enough, my dad was still asleep. I quickly closed the inner door, and my mom was also quite startled by my action. Checking the time, it was just a few minutes before 2 a.m. I muttered to myself, thinking it was already daytime, but it turned out it was still the early hours of the morning. Mu Changze didn't believe in ghosts or spirits, but he had heard that if you hear someone calling your name in the middle of the night, you shouldn't respond, as it's said to be a ghost calling. Lin Xiaojun said the incident happened when she was 18. She was fully awake at the time, not dreaming, yet she clearly heard someone calling for her to open the door. The voice even sounded like her father's, but her father was asleep at home. Just thinking about it sends chills down one's spine. Is this a ghost knocking at the door? Another time, it happened in broad daylight. Also during the summer vacation when I was 18, I had returned to my hometown for the summer. My grandfather kept a cow and would tie it by the river every day to graze. One afternoon, around 2 o'clock, my grandfather asked me to bring the cow back. I went to help him bring the cow back, and then I saw 3 children walking toward me, but when I blinked, they disappeared. I didn't get a clear look at their faces, but I could clearly see what they were wearing. At the time, I was even thinking to myself, why are these 3 kids walking together without saying a word? Then, in the blink of an eye, they were gone. I thought I was seeing things, so I searched all along the riverbank but couldn't find them. Realizing I had encountered ghosts, I quickly led my grandfather's yellow cow back home. After I got home, I told my grandpa about it, and he said I might have seen the 3 siblings who drowned 2 years ago. That year was also during summer vacation. The 3 siblings were being looked after by their grandparents while their parents were working in Shenzhen. When school let out for summer break, the 3 siblings went to the mountains to pick wild fruits, but they never returned home that evening. Their grandparents gathered many people to search for them, but they couldn't be found. That night, their grandfather had a dream in which the children told him they were in the river. The next day, the grandparents called many people to dredge the river, and indeed, they recovered the bodies of the 3 siblings. The eldest sister was 12. The brother was 10, and the youngest sister was 8. They were siblings from the same mother, and it was big news in our area at the time. I saw them walking side by side at the very spot where they drowned, but my grandpa said they were just little spirits and not to be afraid. My mom thought I kept running into evil spirits, so she went to a shaman to get me a protective talisman to wear. If I hadn't experienced these things myself, I wouldn't believe them. President Mu. You can laugh at me for being superstitious or call me timid, but I've been through it, and I'm really afraid of ghosts. Mu Changze felt as if he had just listened to a ghost story. After Lin Xiaojun finished recounting her past supernatural encounter, she felt goosebumps all over her arms and grew even more frightened. Without a second thought, she tightly held onto Mu Changze's arm. She feared nothing in the world except ghosts, yet she still brought up her past supernatural experience. Wasn't that just scaring herself? Don't worry, there are no ghosts in our company. When we were selecting the company's site, we spent a fortune to hire a feng shui master to check it out. He confirmed that this place is very clean, and building the company here would bring prosperity and a steady flow of wealth. There are no ghosts. You've been with the company for so many years. Have you ever heard anyone say there are ghosts? Lin Xiaojun let go of his arm and said, "That's true. I've been here for so many years and have never heard of anything strange happening in the company." Mu Changze, he still wanted her to hold onto his arm. At that moment, the stairway lights turned on. The power is back on. With the light on, Lin Xiaojun immediately stopped being afraid. Mu Changze said gently, "I told you, if there's no power outage notice, it's just a temporary outage and won't last long." Chapter 393, It's a date, right? Lin Xiaojun, however, looked at him with a hint of embarrassment. Having worked together for so many years, Mu Changze was well aware of Lin Xiaojun's thoughts. He smiled gently and said, "I won't tell anyone that you're afraid of ghosts." Lin Xiaojun gave an awkward smile. "As long as the power doesn't go out and I don't stay in a haunted house, I'm usually not afraid." Who told her she was luckier than others, having actually seen a little ghost who had been dead for 2 years. Actually, people are more frightening than ghosts. If you're not afraid of people, why be afraid of ghosts? After a moment of silence, Lin Xiaojun smiled and said, "President Mu is right. People are scarier than ghosts. I'm not afraid of anyone. So I really don't need to be afraid of ghosts." President Mu, what made you think of inviting me to the food street? Aren't you bothered by the poor hygiene conditions there? Having it occasionally won't hurt. If you like it, I'll go with you to eat, mainly to please her. Thank you, President Mu. Lin Xiaojun smiled and said thank you. Mu Changze looked at her with a deep gaze. She looked very beautiful when she smiled, making him want to kiss her again. Her lips were also very soft. Something he had tasted on the night he confessed his feelings to her. He often found himself missing that sweet taste, but now he didn't dare to kiss her again. Before she agreed to be his girlfriend, he wouldn't dare to act recklessly. The two of them went downstairs together and walked out of the office building. Mu Changze's car was usually parked in the open space to the right of the office building entrance, meaning only his car would be parked there. When he opened the car door, Lin Xiaojun saw a bouquet of flowers on the passenger seat. She didn't know when he had bought them and placed them in the car, as she hadn't seen him leave the office to go downstairs and receive the bouquet. Was it bought this morning? If it was bought this morning and left in the car all day, the scorching weather would make the car's temperature unbearable, let alone for flowers. She noticed the bouquet still looked very fresh, while Lin Xiaojun was speculating. Mu Changze had already picked up the bouquet and handed it to her, who was still standing outside the car. "Xiaojun, these flowers are for you." Lin Xiaojun hesitated for a moment but still accepted the bouquet. "Thank you, President Mu." After Lin Xiaojun got into the car, Mu Changze leaned over to help her fasten the seatbelt, then said gently, "Xiaojun, after work hours, I hope you'll call me by my name." "Lin Xiaojun, I'm used to calling you President Mu. I haven't called you by your name before, it feels a bit unfamiliar." Mu Changze pursed his lips and said, "There has to be a start. From now on, as long as we're not at the company, just call me by my name, it's just a title." Lin Xiaojun muttered under her breath, her face slightly flushed. She felt that she and Mu Changze had started dating. Mu Changze did not force her to change the way she addressed him immediately. A few minutes later, Mu Changze drove Lin Xiaojun away from the company. That evening, Mu Changze accompanied Lin Xiaojun to her favorite food street. He completely let go of his usual demeanor and no longer acted like the third young master of the Mu family, instead joining her in enjoying the snacks she loved. Lin Xiaojun almost ate too much. After getting in the car, she kept rubbing her stomach. Mu Changze said with a mix of annoyance and amusement, "You're a grown adult, yet you still don't know when to stop eating. If you're full, don't force yourself. You could really overeat to the point of harm. I wasn't paying attention and ended up eating too much. In the back seat of the car, there were the leftovers Lin Xiaojun had packed to take home, along with that vibrant and eye-catching bouquet of flowers. It's fine, after we watch a couple of movies, I'll be hungry again. Mu Changze, she is truly a genuine foodie. However, it was precisely because of her love for food that he found a way to win her over. The third young master of the Mu family, Mu San, was naturally aloof and had no idea how to pursue a woman. When he asked his eldest brother for advice, he found that his brother and sister-in-law had skipped the dating phase altogether and gone straight to getting married. So he couldn't get any useful tips from them. Left with no other choice, he watched a lot of romantic soap operas to see how the male leads pursued the female leads, and he also forced himself to read many romance novels. He took notes while watching. Only then did he understand to often send flowers to Lin Xiaojun, treat her to the foods she likes, and wait until their relationship became a bit closer before giving her expensive jewelry. Right now, Lin Xiaojun wouldn't accept jewelry from him. Even when he gave her a bouquet of flowers, she hesitated for a moment before accepting it. Late at night, Mu Changze drove Lin Xiaojun back to the apartment building she rented. Mr. Mu, I had a great time tonight. Mu Changze got out of the car and said, as long as you're happy, if you could give me a little reward, I'd be even happier. She was happy, and so was he. Lin Xiaojun, it's so late, I won't invite you up for a visit, Mr. Mu. Another day when I have time, I'll invite you over for a meal. I'll buy the ingredients myself and cook for you personally. Mu Changze's eyes and brows were filled with a smile. I'm free this weekend. No need to wait for another day. Let's make it this weekend. Lin Xiaojun choked up a bit before responding. Okay, when his boss has free time, his secretary is naturally idle as well. Lin Xiaojun, holding a bouquet and carrying a bag of takeaway snacks, said to Mu Changze. Mr. Mu, I'm heading upstairs now. You should head back quickly. Drive safely, and send me a message when you get home to let me know you've arrived safely. This is the feeling of being cared for. Mu Changze felt as sweet as if he had drunk honey. He had a lot to say, but being a man of few words by nature and not one for smooth talk, he simply nodded and said, I will. Lin Xiaojun walked inside under his gaze. Xiaojun, Mu Changze couldn't help but call out to her. Lin Xiaojun stopped and turned to look at him, asking, President Mu, is there something else? Mu Changze walked up to her, standing in front of her, and under the streetlight at the entrance of the apartment building, he looked at her with a deep gaze. What's wrong? Mu Changze pressed his thin lips tightly together. When Lin Xiaojun asked him again, he seemed to gather his courage and asked her bluntly, Xiaojun, can I give you a hug? Lin Xiaojun, I just want a hug. I won't do anything else. Lin Xiaojun thought to herself, what else do you want to do? Should she let him hug her? They had hugged before, kissed before, and in the office, when the power suddenly went out, she even took the initiative to hold his arm tightly, although it was a gesture of fear. Subconsciously she trusted him and regarded him as her support. They had already shared such intimate actions. Letting him hold her wouldn't cost her anything. If you don't say anything, I'll take it as your consent. Mu Changze didn't get a response. But judging by her expression, which showed no sign of refusal, he thought he had been too straightforward in his question, making her too shy to answer. So, he boldly opened his arms and pulled the woman he had cherished in his heart for years, finally daring to confess his feelings, into his embrace. Lin Xiaojun felt the strength in his arms as he held her tightly, pressing her whole body against his. Oh! Lin Xiaojun suddenly let out a soft cry. Chapter 394. A little sweetness. What's wrong? Hearing her soft exclamation, Mu Changze quickly let go of her. The bouquet. With you hugging me like that, you've crushed the bouquet. Lin Xiaojun looked at the bouquet that had been squeezed and didn't look very nice. You hugged so tightly. Look, the bouquet has been pressed and doesn't look good anymore. So it was a bouquet of flowers. Does her heartache over the bouquet he gave her mean she also has feelings for him? Mu Changze didn't ask the question aloud. Instead, he said dotingly, it's all right, I'll give you another bouquet of flowers tomorrow. As long as you like them, I'll give you flowers every day. President Mu, I'm afraid I'll become the target of envy for all the unmarried women in the company. You have no idea how many female employees in our company secretly have a crush on you. Mu Changze's warm, large hand rested on her face, gently stroking her face. He said, you're the only one who doesn't know how I feel about you. Who in the company can't see it? Lin Xiaojun. She didn't dare to develop feelings for him, afraid of ending up like his previous secretaries, getting fired. It would be so embarrassing to be fired for having a crush on the boss and trying to get into their bed. Lin Xiaojun cherishes her reputation very much. Go on in, Mu Changza said gently. I'll watch you from here. It's quite safe here. Lin Xiaojun said this, but in her heart, she once again felt a sweet, comforting sensation. With him watching her as she entered, she felt a strong sense of security. Mu Changza kept watching Lin Xiaojun until she entered the apartment building. Only after she returned to her apartment and sent him a message saying she was home did he drive away. Lin Xiaojun put down the bouquet and the takeaway snacks, then sat down on the sofa, took out her phone, and sent a WeChat message to Yuqing. Qingqing, I feel like I went on a date with an iceberg tonight. He gave me flowers, took me to the food street, and then brought me back. I have to say, it felt really sweet, and he also showed me his considerate and attentive side. Yuqing was too lazy to type, so she directly started a voice call with her. Not bad, you've already progressed to dating. Yuqing laughed and said, I'm trying to get married before the new year. That's a bit too rushed. You should at least date for a year or two before considering marriage. I need to prove whether his family elders really don't look down on me for not being a good enough match for him. Just look at me. Yuqing pushed away the wolfish young master who was trying to take advantage. Our conditions are quite similar. The elders in Changfeng's family are genuinely good to me. If they don't even dislike me, why would they dislike you? Lin Xiaojun fell silent for a moment before saying, I'll think it over. After all, it's a major life decision. If she were to date Mu Changza, it would be with the intention of marriage. Need to think it over carefully. Is she suited for the life of a wealthy family? The two chatted on their phones for quite a while, until Ma Changfeng got jealous and kept interrupting to cause trouble. Yuqing said helplessly to her friend, Xiaojun, it's already very late. I need to rest. Okay, good night. After Yuqing finished her voice call with her friend, she patted Mu Changfeng twice and said to him, I was just chatting with Xiaojun, and you're jealous. You two talked for too long. Her presence already takes away your attention, and you still talked for so long. I'm upset. And yes, I'm jealous. Unless you promise to always put me first from now on, I'll feel secure and won't be jealous anymore. Yuqing said with amusement, tomorrow, I'll go to the supermarket and buy a whole case of vinegar for you to have your fill. Mu Changfeng immediately pinned her down. A night of tenderness. The next day, when Yuqing woke up, Mu Changfeng was no longer in the room. She picked up her phone to check the time and suddenly sat up. It was already 10 a.m. She was an early riser, usually waking up at the crack of dawn. It was all Mu Changfeng's fault, that insatiable wolf. In the shortest time, she changed her clothes, finished washing up, and then Yuqing went downstairs. It was quiet downstairs. There was no sound of the two children making noise. Soon, Uncle Zhong came in. Young mistress, you're awake. Your breakfast is still warm in the kitchen. The young master told us not to wake you, saying we should let you sleep until you naturally wake up before having you eat. For some reason, Yuqing's face flushed a little as she faced the smiling Uncle Zhong. Where are Fan Fan and Yeye? Yuqing asked. The young master has taken them back to the company. Yuqing responded with an "Oh." Young mistress, you must be hungry. Please go and have something to eat first. The young master has called several times to ask if you've gotten up to eat, worried that you might be starving. Uncle Zhong always speaks with a smile. He is pleased to see the young master and his wife growing more affectionate, living their sweet little life. The only regret is that the young mistress is career-driven and has to go back to the countryside every day to manage the orchard, only returning in the evening. If the young mistress's career were in the city, the young couple would have more time together, and their bond would grow even deeper. Yuqing's face flushed red again, and she turned to walk toward the dining room, not wanting Uncle Zhong to see her blushing. In her heart, she cursed Mu Changfeng 10,000 times. Living in Mu Changfeng's villa, the 3 daily meals were always lavish. Even though only Yuqing was eating, the meals were prepared lavishly, all of which were her favorite dishes. Actually, she's not a picky eater, of course. Everyone has a few dishes they particularly enjoy. After Yuqing had eaten and drunk her fill, her phone rang. It was a call from Mu Changfeng. She answers the phone. Darling, are you up yet? Just finished eating. Mu Changfeng smiled. That's good. When I left, you were sleeping soundly. so I didn't wake you. I took the 2 kids to the company with me. Will they affect your work? Should I go pick them up? That works too. Once you're here, the 4 of us can just go have lunch together. Yuqing, Ching. Mo Kangfeng suddenly lowered his voice and asked her, how did you feel after reading it? Yuqing was confused by his question and asked in return, what did I see? What feeling, Ma Changfeng? The love letter I wrote for you. Didn't you read it? He had gotten up early and racked his brains in the study to write her a rather long love letter, hoping she would see it after waking up and feel sweet all day long. But she hadn't read it. Yuqing said, I didn't see the love letter you wrote. Where did you put it? I put it under your pillow. I even made sure to only tuck half of the envelope under it, so you'd see it as soon as you woke up. I checked the time and sat up abruptly. So I didn't notice anything under the pillow. When she sat up so suddenly, she might have accidentally nudged the pillow, completely covering the envelope underneath, so she never saw the love letter he wrote to her. I'll go take a look. Yuqing was still very curious about what exactly Changfeng had written in the love letter to her. Her heart was truly filled with sweetness. Receiving a love letter from the man you like would make anyone feel sweet. Chapter 395, Encountering the Rival Again. After hanging up the phone, Yuqing went upstairs. Back in the room, she lifted the pillow and indeed found a letter tucked underneath it. She picked up the envelope and sat down on the bed. The envelope wasn't sealed, so she opened it directly and took out the folded letter inside. Ma Changfeng had folded the letter very neatly, even more so than Yuqing's folding. Yuqing unfolded the letter. The love letter written by Mu Changfeng is essentially a recollection of how he and Yuqing met and how they got their marriage certificate. He mentioned that he found Yuqing very interesting from the start, fell in love with her at first sight, and that's why he agreed to her proposal and went straight to register their marriage. When Yuqing realized she had mistaken him for someone else and married the wrong person, she called him. Mu Changfeng said he was quite worried that she would ask for a divorce, but to his surprise, she decided to go along with the mistake. In any case, he was reminiscing about all the little moments they shared. Interspersed throughout the letter were phrases like Shu Yuqing, I love you. Reading the entire love letter left Yuqing feeling delighted. Soon, Ma Changfeng's call came through again. Honey, did you find the love letter I wrote for you? I found it, and I finished reading it. Ma Changfeng laughed and asked her, how did it feel? So sweet, and what else? So happy. Mu Changfeng laughed even more joyfully and asked her again, any other feelings? Other feelings? Yuqing thought for a moment and replied, next time I write you a love letter, I'll write more words from your love letter. I learned that I can write love letters like this. She had figured out Mu Changfeng's thoughts. He simply felt that the love letters she wrote to him were too short. She really doesn't know how to write a love letter. I didn't know love letters could also be about memories. You can also write down your feelings at the time to let the other person see. Next time, she'll be able to write more words. My wife is so clever. A big reward. I bought you 2 sets of jewelry. Newly designed by the jeweler, not yet released to the market. Those jewelers, whenever they have new pieces, always send a few sets to the Mu family villa for the ladies of the Mu family to wear at various events. They are like walking advertisements, more effective than the jewelers promoting themselves. Yuqing said, I'm usually busy in the orchard or checking on my processing factory, so I rarely wear jewelry. You can wear them when you accompany me to social events. My wife can't just wear the same set of jewelry every time. Yuqing, she has quite a lot of jewelry now. Her mother-in-law gave her a lot of jewelry. The elderly lady also gave her some, and even Mu Changfeng's aunts all presented her with jewelry, saying it was to make up for the initial meeting gift. During their first meeting, Mu Changfeng was still concealing his identity. The elders couldn't give too expensive gifts at the time, fearing she might become suspicious or refuse to accept them. Now, there are no such concerns. While at the villa, her mother-in-law took her to visit the jewelry vault. She was a relatively composed woman, but even she was shocked upon entering the vault. It was practically a jewelry store, with pieces more beautiful and valuable than those in any shop, truly worthy of the matriarch of the wealthiest family. Her mother-in-law told her that the jewelry would eventually be divided between her and her sisters-in-law, but as the eldest daughter-in-law, she would get the largest share. Yuqing, during the days she stayed at her in-laws' house, Yuqing truly experienced the wealth of the Mu family. Ching, whatever my mother has, You will have too. After visiting her mother-in-law's jewelry collection, Yuqing mentioned it to Ma Changfeng that evening, expressing her amazement in every word. Changfeng, I don't envy everything Mom has. And I won't compare myself to her. You don't need to. My mother is now the lady of the house, and you are the young mistress. In the future, you will also be the lady of the Mu family. Whatever my mother has, you should naturally have as well. I hope that when we have a daughter-in-law in the future, you can take her to your private jewelry collection and let her admire it. Yuqing chuckled and said, how old is Fanfan? And you're already thinking about a daughter-in-law. As for our own children, that goes without saying. I'm not even pregnant yet. Sooner or later, we will have children, given the abundance of men in our family. We'll likely have at least 2 sons. I need to buy more jewelry to fill your collection, so we can show it off to our future daughters-in-law. Yuqing was speechless. He just has so much money that he doesn't know where to spend it. He's always thinking about giving her jewelry. Qingqing, are you coming over? Mu Changfeng changed the subject. I'm going to the company now. It's already this late. Yuqing couldn't possibly go back to her hometown, fortunately. She had already handed over the delivery tasks to the workers. Otherwise, given her current situation of frequently staying in the city, she wouldn't be able to guarantee the deliveries. The summer vacation is coming to an end, and her summer ripening fruits are also nearing their end. Fortunately, she grows only seasonal fruits. In both autumn and winter, there will still be fruits available for the market. I'll wait for you at the company. Mu Changfeng's words were filled with laughter. You go ahead with your work. I'll just change my shoes and then we can go out. All right. Qingqing, I love you. I know, I love you too. After expressing their feelings for each other, Mu Changfeng reluctantly ended the call. Yuqing changed her shoes, picked up the car keys, and quickly went downstairs. She told Uncle Zhong that she was going to the company, and he saw her off, on the way to the Damu group, passing by a flower shop. Yuqing parked the car and prepared to go inside to buy a bouquet of flowers for Mu Changfeng. Although he was a grown man, after receiving the flowers from her, his mood became incredibly cheerful, and Yuqing noticed it all. Soon after, Yuqing came out of the flower shop holding a bouquet of flowers. Shu Yuqing. A rather familiar shout rang out. Yuqing saw a car stop in front of her own vehicle. The other driver rolled down the window, allowing her to see their face clearly. It was Shenjiao, her old classmate and also her rival. She hadn't seen Shenjiao for a long time and didn't expect to run into her today. Yuqing didn't want to bother with this rival, so she walked toward her car holding the bouquet. Shenjiao got out of her car but leaned against Yuqing's driver's side door, looking her up and down, and said, Shu Yuqing, didn't they say the man you married is the eldest son of the wealthy Mu family? Why do I see that your clothes are still so ordinary? And you're still driving this old car? What, didn't the eldest young master of the Mu family get you a super luxurious new car? Or, are you just someone with the same name as the eldest young mistress of the Mu family, and the real eldest young mistress is someone else? I always thought, what qualifications do you, Shu Yuqing, have to become the eldest young mistress of the wealthiest family? You're not a stunning beauty, your family is in the countryside. And although your family has some assets, compared to the wealthiest family, it's like an elephant versus an ant. How could the young master Mu possibly like you? You definitely aren't that Shu Yuqing. Shenjiao was driven mad with jealousy after learning that Yuqing was the young mistress of the Mu family. Running into Shu Yuqing now, she couldn't help but mock her. Deep down, she hoped that Yuqing was just someone with the same name as the young mistress of the Mu family, not the same person. Chapter 396, Yuqing's Confidence. Shu Yuqing wore a half-smile, and her expression made Shenjiao want to lash out. Shu Yuqing, have you lost your tongue? Shenjiao walked over and blocked Yuqing's path, preventing her from getting into the car. He even reached out to give Yuqing a push. Yuqing held the flowers with one hand, freeing the other to effortlessly grab the hand Shenjiao had used to push her. With a single forceful move, Shenjiao cried out in pain. They were both women. So how could Shu Yuqing be so strong? Shu Yuqing, let go of me, let go of me. Shenjiao, even back in school, you knew I wasn't someone you could push around. It's been so many years. Have you forgotten the losses you suffered at my hands? If you dare lay a hand on me again, I can break your arm. You wouldn't dare. You can certainly test whether I dare or not. Shenjiao's face darkened. At school. She often targeted Yuqing out of jealousy for her good grades and set up countless schemes to frame her, but Yuqing managed to resolve them all. Sometimes the two would confront each other directly, but she rarely managed to gain any advantage over Yuqing. Only after intimidating Shenjiao did Yuqing release her hand. Shu Yuqing, are you really the eldest daughter-in-law of the wealthiest family? Shenjiao couldn't help but question Yuqing again, repeating the same old tune. My husband is indeed the eldest son of the wealthiest family, but I don't really like it when people call me the eldest daughter-in-law. Of course, if you prefer to call me that, I'll respond. Shenjiao, what kind of dumb luck did you stumble upon to marry into the wealthy Mu family? Is the eldest son of the Mu family blind to have fallen for someone like you, an ugly country bumpkin? Shenjiao had seen Yuqing in full makeup and knew that with a little effort, Yuqing could be quite stunning. She chose to ignore this fact and tried her best to portray Yuqing as an ugly duckling. Do you want to know why I married the eldest son of the Mu family? Shenjiao really wanted to nod but stubbornly refused to admit it. Yuqing deliberately leaned in and said word by word, Shenjiao, go to a coffee shop. And when you see a man sitting there drinking coffee, go up to them and say you want to have a flash marriage. Maybe you'll also get a chance to marry a super rich man. Shenjiao widened her eyes. Do you think super rich people are everywhere? You want to persuade me into a flash marriage? No way, I don't want to marry someone I know nothing about. Is that how you ended up marrying the young Master Mu? Such luck is truly unmatched. Shenjiao, are you stopping me just to ask these boring questions? I am now the young mistress of the Mu family, and my time is very valuable. If you waste my time, be careful, I might charge you for it. Yuqing had no intention of engaging in idle chatter with Shenjiao, but Shenjiao kept pestering her. Shenjiao, you've flown up the branch and turned into a phoenix, and now even talking to you costs money. You're just buried in money. I've always been a phoenix, I don't need to fly up a branch to be one. Shu Yuqing never thought of herself as a little sparrow. Her family, the Zus, weren't poor, they had assets worth over 10 million. It's been a while, Shu Yuqing. And your face has grown even thicker by several feet, Shenjiao said sarcastically. Don't get too full of yourself. I stopped you out of consideration for our past as classmates, to remind you of something. I suppose you've heard that young Master Mu has a white moonlight in his heart. Well, let me tell you. His white moonlight has returned. Don't think that just because you got lucky and married into the wealthy Mu family, you can securely hold the position of the young mistress. Young Master Mu's white moonlight is back. They grew up together as childhood sweethearts, and she is exceptionally beautiful and elegant. In short, she surpasses you in every way. It's possible that young Master Mu might dump you at any moment and fly off into the sunset with his white moonlight. I'm saying this out of sympathy for you. Even though we don't get along, we're still classmates. And there's still a bit of that classmate bond. That's why I'm kindly reminding you to keep a close eye on your Mr. Mu. Don't end up being divorced and abandoned before the wedding even takes place. That would be absolutely laughable. This is what Shenjiao hopes will happen. Hoping that Yuqing will be abandoned by the young master of the Mu family, becoming a discarded wife, then ridiculed by the entire city of Guangqing. Just like when Yuqing was falsely accused of plagiarism by Zhuang Xini. She was blamed and ridiculed by everyone. After all these years, Shenjiao still feels a great sense of satisfaction whenever she thinks about everything Yuqing had to endure back then. She felt not the slightest bit of guilt, knowing that Yuqing had become the eldest daughter-in-law of the Mu family. Shenjiao was consumed with jealousy, hoping that Yuqing would be abandoned by Mu Changfeng. You stopped me just to tell me this, Shenjiao. This is a big deal. Shu Yuqing, what's your attitude? Why aren't you surprised or worried? She hoped to see fear and worry on Shu Yuqing's face, but what she saw was indifference. Yuqing didn't seem to care at all. Did she think that since she and young Master Mu had gotten their marriage certificate, announced their marriage, and everyone knew she was the young mistress of the Mu family, everything was secure? Wasn't she worried at all about other women trying to take young Master Mu away? You should know that Zhuang Xini is eager to marry young Master Mu. Yuqing switched the bouquet to her other hand and said with a smile, Shenjiao, although you're here to watch the drama, I still want to thank you for the reminder. My Changfeng told me that he doesn't have a white moonlight, that so-called white moonlight was forced upon him by others. Besides, that so-called white moonlight is the second young master of the Qin family's wife. The second young master of the Qin family and Changfeng grew up together. For Changfeng, the second young master of the Qin family's wife is a friend's wife. A friend's wife is not to be trifled with. Changfeng has never had feelings for the second young master of the Qin family's wife. Do you know who the second young master Qin's wife is? Shen Jiao asked. Yuqing looked at her as if she were an idiot, after Mu Changfeng's true identity was revealed. How could she not know who the second young master Qin's wife was? Not only did she know, but she had also met her, and the other party even offered 5 million to buy her husband. It was because she thought it was a loss that she didn't feel tempted. I've met an Yu is prettier than me. So what? Changfeng likes me. I am the first daughter-in-law of the Mu family. No matter how beautiful the women outside are, Changfeng won't give them a second glance. Yuqing now is not the same as before. She already knows Changfeng's true feelings for her. She won't easily misunderstand Changfeng or ignore his explanations like she used to. Changfeng would never like Anue, even if Qin Tianyu is dead and Anyu is single again. In Changfeng's eyes, Anyu will always be his childhood friend's wife. Anyu, however, fantasizes about Changfeng, dreaming of forming a family of 4 with him and the 2 children, Shenjiao. Such a confident Shu Yuqing always makes her grit her teeth in frustration. With looks like yours, aren't you worried at all that young Master Mu will abandon you? Shenjiao asked unwillingly. Yuqing smiled. He wouldn't. He was the one who brought up the divorce, and we're going to split custody of the child. Shenjiao. Chapter 397. Jiyu Chen is still stuck in the same place. Split custody. What is this condition? Have Shu Yuqing and the young Master Mu already had a child? Didn't they just get married a few months ago? At the last class reunion, they heard that Yuqing had just gotten married not long ago. Pregnancy takes 10 months. After all, Yuqing, you even have a child now. Shenjiao suddenly felt like a failure compared to Yuqing. Back when Yuqing first got a boyfriend, Shenjiao had stolen him away, making Yuqing taste the bitterness of failure. From that moment on, Yuqing's life has been on a downward spiral. Now, not only is Yuqing married, but she has also married into a top-tier wealthy family. Shenjiao really wishes she could, as she did in the past, successfully steal Shu Yuqing's man. Unfortunately, she hasn't even seen what the young master of the Mu family looks like. No, she has seen him. At the class reunion, she saw the young Master Mu, and he was really handsome. She had thought about trying to flirt with young Master Mu at the time, but it didn't work out. That man simply ignored her. If she had known that handsome man was young Master Mu, she would have thrown all pride aside and done everything possible to cling to his powerful influence. I have 2 children, and they are both over 4 years old. Shenjiao choked for a moment. Then, after understanding, she said, shameless. Those 2 children were clearly born from the young Master Mu's first love. Now that his first love has returned, he'll dump you, and the family of 4 will be reunited. Still talking about dividing the children aren't even young Master Mu and Shu Yuqing's. So what right does Shu Yuqing have to claim them? I've said it, and Yu is not my Changfeng's first love. Yuqing corrected Shenjiao's words seriously once again. Shenjiao, do you have anything else to say? Get to the point. Don't just talk about trivial matters that aren't even true. Listening to your nonsense is simply a waste of my time. Shenjiao. It seems you have nothing important to say, so I'm leaving. Yuqing walked around Shenjiao and left, but after taking 2 steps, she stopped, turned her head, and said to Shenjiao, I'm going to Da Mu Group now to pick up my husband and children. The 4 of us will have lunch together. After saying that, she turned back to her car. First placed the bouquet of flowers on the passenger seat, then got back into the car, and even waved goodbye to Shenjiao in a good mood. Shenjiao was so angry she stomped her feet. Shu Yuqing, you've really turned things around. What should she do? Her self-righteous scheme was of no use at all. She is quite confident. Shu Yuqing, not at all worried that the white moonlight would steal the young Master Mu away. A luxury car slowly came to a stop at the Mu family villa. Recently, Jiyu Chen, who has been acting as the gatekeeper of the Mu family villa, turned his head to look at the car and recognized it as his mother's private vehicle. He stood up from the corner and walked toward his parents, who had just gotten out of the car. Dad, Mom, what are you doing here? Since learning that Nuan and her child were at the Mu family villa, Jiyu Chen had not returned to the Jiyu residence and had been staying here. During the day, After Nuan Nuan went to work, he would linger at the entrance of the villa, until Nuan Nuan got off work. He followed her home like a shadow. Nuan Nuan didn't want to pay him any attention, fortunately. Although his son Jiu Lai had inherited his cold demeanor, he still cared about their father-son relationship. Every day when he cooked, he would make a little extra, claiming it was a portion set aside for him from the dog's food. He had seen it. His portion was larger than the dog's. The son is all talk but soft at heart. In the evening, the mother and son initially didn't care where he slept, for 2 days, before the mother and son had gotten up. He laid several layers of straw in front of the house door and then slept on it, pretending to be bedding down at the doorstep. Where the straw came from, Nuan Nuan didn't ask. In fact, aside from her extreme reaction on the first day, she had since treated him as if he didn't exist. Jiu Chen felt deeply hurt. He would rather Nuan Nuan scold him, hit him, just like she did on the first day. He didn't want to be treated as if he were nothing. Then, on the third night, Jiu Lai finally let him into the house. Of course, Jiu Lai only allowed him inside without offering a bed, so he had to sleep on the sofa. The weather was unbearably hot. Accustomed to air-conditioned rooms, the great CEO Jiu tossed and turned all night, unable to sleep. It was just too hot. After 2 days of enduring it, he couldn't hold out any longer. Now, even if it's scorching hot, the great CEO Jiu sleeps soundly on the sofa. However, the result was that the next day, he woke up with mosquito bites all over his body. He never knew there could be so many mosquitoes. Yet, his wife and son had lived in such conditions for 9 years, and they were even grateful to Mu Changfeng. How dare you ask us, Jiu Chen? Do you even remember who you are? Have you been back to the company lately? You don't care about the company's affairs at all, ignoring everything, just staying here day after day. As soon as Mrs. Jiu got out of the car and saw her son, she immediately started scolding him. Seeing her once exceptionally handsome son, now disheveled with a full beard, waiting day after day at the entrance of the Mu family villa for by Nuan Nuan, where was the elegance and poise of the great CEO Jiu, Mrs. Jiu grew even angrier. How could her such an outstanding son have fallen for Bai Nuanuan? 10 years ago, after Bai Nuanuan disappeared, Jiu Chen, upon learning the truth, went mad searching for Nuanuan, failing to find her. He fell seriously ill and became emaciated beyond recognition. Mrs. Jiu scolded her son, saying if he truly died from illness, who would help him find Bai Nuanuan? Only then did her son pull himself together. Bai Nuan can decide the life and death of her precious son. Jiu Chen said calmly, if Nuan doesn't forgive me and refuses to come back with me for a day, I won't return for a day. Without Nuan, what meaning does the company hold for me? What warmth does the Jiu family have for me? How many more times do I have to tell you? Bai Nuan is the daughter of a servant. She is not worthy of you. 10 years ago, she wasn't worthy of you, and 10 years later, she is even less worthy. She can only be a servant. Upon learning that Bai Nuan was hiding at the Mu family villa as a servant, or rather, a gardener, Mrs. Jiu was absolutely furious. It's true that a servant's daughter will only become a servant, and she even went to the Mu family villa to work as one. In Mrs. Gu's eyes, the gardener was also like a servant. Jiu Chen said coldly, I also have the same words for you. Without Nuanuan, I want nothing. 10 years ago, I hurt Nuanuan and lost her once. 10 years later, I cannot lose her again, and I will never hurt her again, whether Mom accepts Nuanuan or not. This time, I only want Nuanuan. Over the past 10 years, Jiu Chen had also planned and prepared a way out for himself and Nuanuan. Even if he left the Jiu group, he could still support his wife and children, the reputation that mother cares about, the Jiu corporation that she values. Whoever wants it can take it. In short, he only wants Nuan, and he will never let go of her again in this lifetime, whether Nuan forgives him or not. He will spend the rest of his life protecting Nuan and their child. Chapter 398, Mrs. Gu's Ruthlessness. Mrs. Jiu said with a dark expression, are you giving up the Jiu corporation just for Bai Nuan? Jiu Chen remained silent with a cold expression. He and Nuanuan had already wasted 10 years due to his mother's opposition. How many decades in life can one afford to waste? Jiu Chen no longer wanted to live for the Jiu family, he wants to live for himself once. Wife, Mr. Ji-yu tugged at his wife and persuaded, "We agreed when we came here not to force our son to make a choice anymore. You just won't listen. What kind of life has our son been living all these years? Haven't you seen it, Mrs.?" Ji-yu said angrily, "Look at his attitude. With so many women in the world, why must he insist on Bai Nuanuan? What's so great about Bai Nuanuan? Yes, I must have Nuan, and no one else." Ji-yu Chen responded loudly, "Besides Nuan, I don't want anyone else. Whether Mom agrees to Nuan and me or not, I will be with Nuan. As long as Nuan is willing to forgive me, in my eyes, Nuan is perfect in every way. I no longer need Mom's approval for Nuan and me to be together. If Mom agrees, you will not only still have me as a son, but also gain a daughter-in-law and a grandson. If Mom does not agree, please forgive your son for being unfilial. I will leave the Ji-yu family and leave Guangqing, Mrs. Ji-yu. Ji-yu Chen, Mom, I don't want to discuss this issue with you anymore. I'm the one living my life, and I think Nuan is right for me. It doesn't matter if you think she's suitable or not. Don't tell me it's for my own good. What you think is good for me is actually killing me. Mom, you're practically killing me. But then again, you gave me my life, so if you want to take it back with your own hands, even if I die, I won't blame you, Mrs. Gu's face turned livid, then quickly grew pale. The son is tormenting himself over a servant's daughter, and on top of that, he's tormenting his own mother. Mr. Ji-yu said sternly, "Ji-yu Chen, how are you speaking to your mother? The things you said are like cutting out her heart and liver." Wife, after reprimanding his son, Mr. Ji-yu quickly pulled Mrs. Ji-yu aside and said in a low voice, "Don't argue with our son. What good will it do? It's been so many years. If he could let it go, he would have done so long ago. If he can't let it go, why are you pushing him so hard? Do you really want to hurt our son again? Do you really want him to be alone for the rest of his life?" Mrs. Ji-yu said angrily, "Didn't you hear what he said? He said, whether I agree or not, he will be with that woman. He will abandon his parents, abandon the Ji-yu group. He only wants that vixen by Nuan. Don't speak so harshly. Back then, it was your son who pursued her first. She is a vixen, always luring my son's soul away." Mr. Ji-yu glared at his wife. After a long pause, he said, "If you won't think about our son, can't you at least think about Ji-yu Lai? He's our own grandson, and we haven't even met him yet. Isn't the main reason we came here today to see our grandson?" Mrs. Ji-yu, in a fit of anger, said, "Who knows if it's really my grandson? It might be by Nuan's child with some other man, and she's just pinning it on my son." Wife, Mrs. Ji-yu pursed her lips. "Fine, I won't say any more. Alright, you go and talk to your son. I can't get through to him. Seeing him in that wretched state, I'm both angry and heartbroken, yet he treats me like an enemy. The strained relationship between mother and son is all because of Bai Nuan. How could she possibly accept Bai Nuan? If I can't persuade him, then I'll just leave him be. I want Ji-yu Lai. As long as Bai Nuanu lets me take Ji-yu Lai away, I don't care what happens between her and Ji-yu Chen, and I don't want to see it either." Mrs. Ji-yu felt that her son had turned out this way because she hadn't raised him properly before. She wants to bring her grandson to live with her and personally nurture him, both to cultivate the successor of the Ji-yu family and to strengthen the bond between grandmother and grandson. It's even more torment for Bai Nuanuan. The mother and son have relied on each other for 9 years. Tearing them apart and making it difficult for them to even meet is like cutting out Bai Nuanuan's heart and liver. Bai Nuanuan has caused her to lose her son. She also wants Bai Nuanuan to taste the pain of losing a son. Chapter 399, Grandmother and Grandson Meet Again. Keep your little schemes to yourself. As soon as Mrs. Ji-yu spoke, Mr. Ji-yu knew that his wife intended to use the excuse of grooming Ji-yu Lai as the successor to prevent the mother and son from meeting, forcibly keeping them apart. How could Mr. Ji-yu not be aware of such a petty scheme? 10 years ago, my wife was dead set against our son being with Nuanuan and did something to her. Mr. Ji-yu knew about it but didn't stop her. Sometimes he even helped his wife deal with Nuanuan. At that time, our son was young. They thought that as long as they broke up our son and Nuanuan, he would marry the well-bred young lady they preferred. Little did they know that our son was very stubborn, not only blaming them as parents, he has never been able to forget Nuan, and for her sake, He has refused to interact with young women for the past 10 years. No matter what his parents say, their son just won't listen. Now, Ji Chen is already 35 years old. If they were to forcefully obstruct and break him and Nuan apart, Mr. Ji is truly worried that his son might remain single forever. Although they have Ji Lai, they don't have to worry about the issue of the Ji family's successor. Isn't it better to have children and grandchildren around than for mother and son to become enemies? Have the child and Ji Lai undergo 2 DNA tests. If the results confirm that he is our Ji family's grandson, we will acknowledge him as our grandson. But I won't take Ji Lai away from Nuan. Over the years, the mother and son have probably relied on each other for survival. Ji Lai is already 9 years old. Whatever you do, he sees it and remembers it in his heart. Not only will you fail to foster a bond between grandmother and grandson, but it might also make him resent you. When we are old and unable to move, who knows if our children and grandchildren might come to take revenge on us. Mrs. Ji, it took Mr. Ji quite some time to calm his wife down. Then, the couple returned together to stand before Ji Chen. Mr. Ji said, Chen, don't blame your mother, she did something wrong to you and Nuan, but she did it all for your own good. It's been 10 years, and you're still the same. Nuan has given birth to Ji Lai. After you and Ji Lai have done the DNA test and confirmed that he is indeed your son, as long as you can get Nuan to forgive you and marry you, your mother and I won't stand in your way anymore. Mrs. Ji kept a straight face and said nothing. Deep down, she was still very dissatisfied with Nuan and resented her for causing the rift between her and her son, Ji Chen. Her husband advised her to be more open-minded. After all, they couldn't let their son waste another 10 or 20 years, could they? After all, he is their own son, and they too wish for his happiness. Whereas Nuan now, seeing that his son remained silent, Mr. Ji inquired about Nuan's situation. After a moment of silence, Ji Chen replied, she works at the Mu family villa and gets off work around 11:30 to 12:00 at noon. You've been staying here for so many days. Any progress, Mr. Ji asked with concern. Back then, it was indeed our fault. We did something wrong to Nuan, so it's only natural for her to resent us. You need to be more patient, Mrs. Ji muttered. She just doesn't know what's good for her. Who is her son? Ji Chen, the head of the Ji group. A powerful figure in Guangxing who is on par with Mu Changfeng. He still loves Nuan, and the Bai family's ancestors must be overjoyed. Bai Nuan still refuses to forgive her son. She simply doesn't know what's good for her. Father and son both glared at Mrs. Ji simultaneously, glared at by both father and son. Mrs. Ji said angrily, fine, you two talk, I'll leave, I'll go far away so I don't hear your conversation. It's enough to make me furious enough to spit blood. Mrs. Ji meant what she said and actually left. However, she didn't drive away but walked down the mountain instead. The status of the Mu family villa in Guangxing was well known to Mrs. Ji. She also knew that the Mu family villa was very beautiful, but she had never visited it. After all, the two families were sworn enemies. Bai Nuan needs to find a job. Any job is better than being a servant in the Mu family. It is said that dragons beget dragons, phoenixes beget phoenixes, and the offspring of mice are born to dig holes. A servant's daughter is destined to be nothing but a servant, if Bai Nuan becomes the young mistress of the Ji family in the future. The thought of Nuan having worked as a servant in the Mu family for 10 years made Mrs. Ji feel utterly ashamed. She stopped, wanting to turn back and tell her son not to marry Bai Nuan. In the end, Mrs. Ji still gave up on turning back. She just went down the mountain along the winding cement road. Along the way, she could also enjoy the scenery by the roadside. Occasionally, a cool breeze would blow, giving her a refreshing and pleasant feeling. I have to say, the Mu family villa is really well built. Mrs. Ji, who had stormed down the mountain in a fit of anger, actually walked all the way down. At the foot of the mountain, her attention was captured by the vast stretches of flower fields. Mrs. Ji, who had been full of anger, had already cooled down by the time she reached the flower fields. Workers were trimming the flower branches. The flower fields at the foot of the Mujia villa not only enhance the scenery but also serve as a supplier of fresh flowers for many florists in Guangqing. Roses are the best-selling type of flower. The flower stems the workers are carefully trimming now are roses. After approaching, Mrs. Gu also noticed a child laborer. That so-called child laborer was actually Gu Lai. He is helping to trim the flower branches. After discovering Mrs. Gu Lai quickly put down the flower shears and walked out of the flower field, but he left from the other side. Then, he took another path back to the place where he and his mother lived. Gu Lai wasn't surprised at all that his grandmother would come. As his mother put it, after Aunt Shu learned about her true identity. She knew this day would come. Mrs. Gu didn't recognize Gu Lai, and since he left the flower field shortly after spotting her, she didn't get a clear look at his appearance. Once again, grandmother and grandson met without recognizing each other. After returning home from the flower field, Gu Lai began to prepare lunch. His biological grandmother had come, and he didn't know if his mother would soften her heart and invite her to eat. While cooking the rice, Gu Lai added an extra cup of rice, thinking that if his grandmother wasn't allowed to eat, he would save it to make fried rice with eggs in the evening. It had been a long time since he last made fried rice with eggs. Fan Fan and Yaya really enjoy eating the fried rice he makes. Thinking of the two little ones, Gu Lai's stern face would soften a bit. I really miss those two little ones, wondering when they'll return to the villa, if they do come back. Will Fan Fan and Yaya treat him the same as before? Woof woof. His dog suddenly started barking. Gu Lai came out of the house and saw his grandmother standing not far away. Her well-maintained face filled with fear of the dog, not daring to move. I heard that if you run, the dog will chase and bite. Is anyone in the house? I'd like to ask for a cup of. Mrs. Gu felt thirsty and thought about asking for a glass of water. The nearest house in the flower field is where Gu Lai and his mother live. Upon clearly seeing Gu Lai's facial features, Mrs. Gu was stunned. If it weren't for his cold expression, he would be the spitting image of Nuan, without even asking. She knew this was her biological grandson, Gu Lai. Chapter 400, blocked at the door. Upon seeing it was his grandmother, Gu Lai turned around and went back inside. Gu Lai, Mrs. Gu snapped back to reality and immediately followed him inside, no longer afraid of the dog, Gu Lai. After entering, Gu Lai closed the door, preventing Mrs. Gu from coming in. Mrs. Gu pounded on the door, shouting, Gu Lai, I'm your grandmother. Grandma is here to take you home, Gu Lai. Could you open the door and let Grandma in first? Gu Lai ignored her, letting her pound on the door until she grew tired and gave up on knocking. Her grandson refused to open the door, let alone offer her a glass of water. Mrs. Gu's excitement at seeing her grandson cooled, and she felt that by Nuan had failed to educate the child properly, turning her grandson into someone who showed no respect for elders and lacked manners. She took out her phone and called her husband. When he answered, she said, Old Gu, I've seen Gu Lai, but he won't let me in. I'm dying of thirst. Bring me a bottle of water down the mountain. I'll wait for you at the door of the house next to the flower field. Drive down the mountain. There's no need to persuade Gu Chen anymore. He's dead set on being with by Nuan. Even 9 oxen couldn't pull him back. Mr. Gu, upon hearing that his grandson had been seen, responded with an okay after his wife finished speaking and then hung up the phone. He then quickly drove down the mountain and soon arrived at the doorstep of Nuan and her son's residence. Thirsty and hot, Mrs. Gu walked over, got back into the car to enjoy the air conditioning, and then took a bottle of water handed to her by her husband. She unscrewed the cap and took several big gulps. After quenching her thirst, she complained to her husband, I don't know how Bai Nuan is raising her son. She's raised Gu Lai to be disrespectful to his elders and lacking in manners. I told him I was his grandmother, but he just turned around, went back inside, and closed the door. No matter how much I knocked, he wouldn't open the door or say a word. Our son said that Gu Lai has seen you before. He was there when you spoke with Miss Shu last time, but your attention wasn't on him, so you didn't notice. Gu Lai heard everything you said in front of Miss Shu. Our son also said that Gu Lai is a very smart child, with a cold and stubborn temperament. Our family has wronged the mother and son, so it's only natural for Gu Lai to resent us or even hate us. Mrs. Ji-yu, even if I said something unpleasant, I am still his grandmother. Thinking that Ji-yu Lai looked so much like Bai Nuan, Mrs. Ji-yu couldn't help but add. We haven't done a DNA test yet, so we don't even know if Ji-yu Lai is our biological grandson. He doesn't look like anyone in our family at all. He looks like Bai Nuan, only the eyes and eyebrows somewhat resemble our son's. When doing the DNA test, we don't need to test our son and Ji-yu Lai. Instead, we should go and have a blood relationship test with Ji-yu Lai. If he is indeed a descendant of our Ji-yu family, he will definitely share a blood relationship with us. Don't let our son know about the paternity test. We'll just quietly take Ji-yu Lai to do it. Our son is so infatuated with Bai Nuan that he's lost his mind. If he finds out and Ji-yu Lai isn't really a member of our Ji-yu family, he might tamper with the results to deceive us, just to get us to agree to let Bai Nuan into the family. Mr. Ji-yu, his wife, after all these years, still couldn't accept Bai Nuan and remained unwilling to do so, although he also didn't want his son to marry the daughter of a servant. His son had remained unmarried well into his 30s for Bai Nuan's sake. With the addition of their grandson Ji-yu Lai, Mr. Ji-yu had come to accept it and decided to let his son have his way. As long as his son can win Bai Nuan's forgiveness, he, as a father, is willing to prepare a grand wedding for his son and daughter-in-law. Ji-yu Chen said he would leave the Ji-yu family, and Mr. Ji-yu believed his son would follow through on his words. Over the past 10 years, watching his son live in pain and their relationship deteriorate to the point where it no longer resembled that of father and son, he felt deeply troubled and regretted not having supported his son back then. Has Bai Nuan not come out yet? Is Ji-yu Chen still waiting for her to finish work? Mrs. Ji-yu asked about her son. Well, I talked to our son, and he said he won't marry anyone but Nuan. If Nuan never forgives him and never marries him, he'll stay single for the rest of his life. After saying this, Mr. Ji-yu let out a heavy sigh. Darling, we were too extreme back then, seeing our son like that. My heart aches as if it's being cut by a knife. They could have used a gentler way to prevent their son from being with Bai Nuan, but they were too arrogant and overconfident in the past. They thought that as long as they were separated, their son would eventually forget Nuan over time. So they resorted to overly extreme methods, ultimately leading to consequences that are now difficult to repair. Mrs. Ji-yu said nothing, saying she has no regrets is a lie. But she was unwilling to lower her head, seeing her son like that. As a mother, her heart ached. Old Ji-yu, Ji-yu Lai hasn't met you yet. Get out of the car and knock on the door to see if Ji-yu Lai will open it. Then, find a way to pull out a strand of his hair. We'll take it to do a paternity test. Mrs. Ji-yu didn't want to continue discussing the topic of her son and Bai Nuan. What she wanted to do most now was to first confirm that Ji-yu Lai was indeed her grandson. When the results come out, if Ji-yu Lai is indeed her grandson, she intends to take him away. If only we could get his blood, that would be great. Pulling hair would require a dozen strands to be useful, but we're not familiar with Ji-yu Lai yet, and he wouldn't just sit still and let us pluck his hair. Mr. Ji-yu said as he got out of the car. Let's wait a while longer. As you said, he won't just sit still and let us pluck his hair. How would I have a chance to do it? Let me go knock on the door and see if that dog will bite or not. Quite fierce, probably won't bite randomly. If it really bites you, we'll have an excuse to go inside. Mr. Ji-yu wanted to say that it was he who had been bitten, so of course his wife didn't care. But the words remained unspoken on the tip of his tongue. His wife was far too self-centered. Take the matter of my son and Bai Nuan, for example. His wife disapproved of the two being together because she felt that Bai Nuan, being the daughter of a servant, would bring shame to the family if she became her daughter-in-law. That's why his wife still cannot accept Bai Nuan to this day. Mr. Ji-yu walked toward the house, while her husband went to knock on the door. Mrs. Ji-yu lowered the car seat and lay down so that Ji-yu Lai wouldn't see her. The dog kept barking at Mr. Ji-yu, but it did not lunge to bite. Mr. Ji-yu wasn't afraid of the dog's barking, as long as it didn't lunge to bite him. Don't bother knocking. A cold voice came from the window. Ji-yu Lai stood by the window, not opening the door for his grandfather. He said coldly, "Just leave. I know you don't like my mother and won't accept her or me. I don't need your acceptance or approval. The Ji-yu family is beyond our reach. My mother and I can't climb that high." He wanted to change his surname and was determined to convince his mother to agree to it. I want to take my mother's surname, bye, and no longer use the surname GU. Thank you for watching. This is a full-length novel. If you'd like to see the continuation, please leave a comment below saying looking forward to more, or give the video a like. I'll update promptly based on your feedback. See you next time.